a teaser on that. We have with us the veteran educationist and of course also unionist. This is Wilson Susion. Also, we have the party leader of the People Progressive Party, Progressive Alliance Party, I should say.
It's Progress Plus Alliance.
Progress Plus Alliance Party. Yes, yes. And I was just wondering why you've not fielded a candidate, especially here in Nairobi.
By the time we were ready, we hadn't gone through all the processes, so we are ready for the one in April. Yeah.
Okay, all right. We shall also be keeping our eyes there. Former NC, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, let's just, I don't know, you've been doggedly following what is happening on the ground. I don't know what you're peeking, but we can just go straight to Malava, where we saw also that particular reports there that we were being given about Apollos Kabau, and we had the leader of DAPK, Seth Panyako, and these cases that are being raised of voter suppression. Let's just begin with you, Famba. What do you think? Is there any veracity in these allegations? We've heard of Matete police station, also security officers being involved in this, going to break down the gates, and the goons also just being ushered in. So this has been happening. They've been raising this concern since yesterday, and we saw before even Seth Panyako saying some of the leaders as well have been intimidated. We've seen security withdrawn as well. So was that a build-up to, suppress the turnout today?
According to me, I think that is what is coming out from partisan voices. So it is difficult to ascertain what exactly the position is unless you hear from the other side. But before we get into the details of the electioneering stories, I would like to make a certain observation that tomorrow something very important is happening in this country. I think President William Ruto will be launching the Rironi, Nakuru, Mau Summit Road. That goes in line with his vision to transform the country into the third world, as he mentioned in his State of the Nation address, talking about infrastructure. It goes hand in hand with the railway line, SGR.
But Faba, I think that is of subsidiary interest to our, to our topic.
Therefore, I'm just trying to say that in 1870, there is a theologian who said that a statesman is concerned about the next generation. A politician is concerned about the next election, and majority of Kenyans are so much obsessed with elections all the time. Since it's our democratic right, as envisaged in Article 1 of the Constitution about citizens exercising their sovereignty, either directly or indirectly, this electoral process is a constitutional right for all Kenyans. And therefore, I expect that the elections should be very peaceful, and these are tested for IEBC. Whatever some partisan candidates are expressing in Malava about the onset of violence is unfortunate if it is true. And it's important that the IEBC comes out assertively to invoke all the laws that are within our reach to apply to anyone who is violating them. Because the IEBC Act, the Elections Act, and the Elections Offences Act of 2016 are very explicit laws about violations as far as elections are concerned. So if there's anything that is happening that is contrary to the law, it's supposed to be sanctioned by the IEBC in support by the police, so that whoever is culpable is supposed to be arrested instantly and to face justice as soon as possible. So that IEBC also demonstrates that it has capacity to deliver 2027 elections in a lawful and constitutionally sane manner, not the kind of problems we have had before, because there's a lot of hope that came with the new IEBC, and we are optimistic that they are going to deliver it in the right manner, and by today evening there'll be full judgment upon them on whether they'll have succeeded or failed. If they fail, it will be a very bad reflection on what awaits us in 2027. But if they succeed and contain all these situations of election malpractices, then we are sure that we are going towards the right direction. And 2027 will be hopeful for all Kenyans to conduct the elections in a free and fair manner and in a lawful manner.
All right, yes, thank you, Fwamba there. And we can see the leader of the DP, Democratic Party of Kenya. This is Justin Muturi casting his vote in Barren North. And this is live pictures coming from Mbere, and you can see, all right, you is supposed to be a Siri, okay? So I think also my cameraman is really keen on making sure that, yes, he's going a little bit closer. Too close for comfort. And there he is now. He's actually made his stick and is casting his, of course, vote there with his Fedora cup, yeah. They normally say the Moranga, Texas cup, yeah. The camera is a bit shaky, of course. This is now the joy of live coverage as we're trying to steady to get is a good angle there. And that is from Mbere North. We shall be keeping you updated as they come in to cast their votes. And you remember that also is a very contentious battleground as it stands right now between DCP and also UDA. But we have Mike Kagwongo, and he's actually having a moment with the party leader. Let's just listen in.
My expectations are that my candidate is going to emerge victorious. Yes.
You will now be traversing across other...
Yes, from here I intend to move straight to Chicago. That one to just go and verify, or you just find out for myself what is happening, whether there are any incidences, what they're reporting, or raising issues about.
So far, have you had any concerns about rigging or...
So far, for the last almost 1 hour, 20 minutes, no incidents reported. Yeah.
We normally see by-elections, people don't take it seriously. What will you tell people to wake up very early and make?
We have mobilized people sufficiently, and we've told them that it is as important as a general election, because the determination is the same. It's to elect a representative of the people. Yeah. So we expect that, well, even though generally in the country voter turnout has always been low in by-elections, we expect that there's going to be significant improvement in this, particularly in this constituency. So as you know, government has been here almost 24/7. Yeah, so we expect that there's going to be a lot of effort to make sure that as many people as possible turn out to vote. Yeah.
So have you voted?
Yes, of course.
How is the process?
The process is very simple. Present your ID. Your name is announced. You check biometrics with the KIMS kit. Your name and the photograph appears. You are issued with a ballot paper. Mark.
How long did it take you?
I think less than a minute, I think. Very, 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 very fast. Very fast. Thank you very much.
Indeed, that is JB Muturi. After he casted his vote, he says indeed it was a very easy exercise that took about just 1 minute to cast his vote. So he will be traversing across other polling stations to take a look and a glimpse of what is happening across the other polling stations, and we will be bringing to you everything that will be happening here in Mbere constituency. From here, we are heading to the place where UDA candidate will be casting his vote at about 9 a.m. So we'll be bringing to you live.
Right, voting continues apace there, and thank you, Mike Kagwongo, there for just keeping us updated on what is happening. After we've seen that is Justin Muturi casting his vote, we will be keeping our eyes peeled just to follow what will be happening also on the front of the UDA side at that particular moment they'll be casting their vote. But we continue the conversation with our panelists who are already in studio, and I just want to get the view of Arnold on this as well. You've been following, I don't know what you've been learning so far, given that all these constituencies and those particular vacant seats that now they're being voted for today will have at least a winner today. So what are you learning?
There's quite much to actually learn and look at and probably speak to. But it will be important that I respond to what he started with, because I saw there was gusto and need to push the agenda, almost to our discomfort.
With the road project.
Yes, with the road project.
Yes, which is...
As per yesterday,
yes.
We were told no contract had been signed. So we hope and pray that even as he pushes that agenda...
Who told you? You were told
that it will not be just another exercise in PR. But quickly on the same, even as I pick up, there is the tendency of the president stepping out every time there's a major thing happening in the country so that he comes later. A lot of times we think that anaondokea noma, then he comes back, he will act like the father, and if you've messed up, he throws you under the bus. We've seen that happen in the past.
Did he expect the president to stop his
All right,
work?
can you just let him have his moment, please?
So that he embarks on the by-election?
Wamba, please, let him just have his moment.
Some of the remarks that have actually made Rigiji very unpopular were made in a similar circumstance when there were demonstrations, Zimio demonstrations in 2023, and of course, quote unquote, he was left in control. He never recovered his reputation after that. Let's say this election has got three main players. Number one, it has got the people who actually need representation. Number two, there is IBC, because we have new commissioners. The secretariat has been in place. I do not think that the secretariat really needs to be reminded how to do their work. They are quite good with what they do. But since it's a quorate institution, it's not fully functional without commissioners. So now we have got new commissioners. This is their first test. They were taking care of 24 by-elections. Of course, 2 of them are not contested, but 24 seats out of 1882, because during a general election, you have got 1,882 slots to fill. So when you are dealing with 24, that is about 1.2% of what they will actually be looking at in 2027.
Yes.
So this 1% that they are dealing with, for us, is supposed to actually give us an impression of how they will actually work out. So I'll actually be very bold to say that for Ethekon and his team, this could be their first and last election, depending on how they handle this election. Unfortunately, because IBC for the longest time has become a career graveyard, that you show up with a lot of hope, promise. You've seen Dr. Lutralala here looking so brisked up, but then if anything happens during the day that then bruises the country's ego or rather confidence, then of course there will be a lot of problems on how we receive and accept them going forward. Then the other part that is important, besides the people, IEBC, to test their systems, the processes, to build confidence and give us perception, there's the political parties. Political parties are also revving up and testing, because unfortunately for an election, there is never a dry run. If you've ever run for politics, like myself, and I think literally everybody here has actually run for office, there's never a dry run. So when there's a by-election, parties and the political actors really want to run their system. So we've seen what the political parties have done. We've seen what IBC is doing, even though I'm already a little bit skeptical, because yesterday, or rather a day before yesterday, I saw the chairperson, Ethekon, saying that he has not seen any bribery. He denied bribery allegations. When we go to elections, we normally sign the Electoral Code of Conduct. Among it is, or rather among the very many things, because it's normally about 3 pages, is that we abide not to treat voters, not to do voter bribery and stuff. But the media has shown, we've seen people being given food, we've seen people being given mattresses, we've seen people being given jobs on platforms. As in, this is a voter who, quote unquote, should be an aspirant, who is an aspirant as well, is in a rally, is being given a job. That is voter treatment. There's no way you can actually look at it. There's no other way of looking at it. But then I think the chairman should have moved away from making that remark, saying that he had not seen. I think he would rather have said, we will investigate. That would actually have been not just a good way of looking at it, but when he comes out and then he denies outrightly, I think we start having our concerns that... In
a very diplomatic way, like we've observed.
Yeah,
yes.
So he would actually have moved from that. Otherwise, when we have got so much video work going around, there's relief food, there is mattresses. People are being given jobs. As in, there is money. It's all over. It's being documented, and the chair of no less an organ like IEBC says that there is none. I think that the chair went too far. He should have allowed a process, or rather given room for a process. Otherwise, if you're going to contest that to IEBC, an IEBC where the chair has already told you that they didn't observe any voter bribery, as in, there is that. But then generally you've seen a lot of energy. That's how by-elections are, by the way. In this country, or rather at least in Kenya, we will say that all politics is local, unless it's a by-election. Once it's a by-election, that politics ceases, or rather the election ceases being local. And that's what you've seen in Malava, for example. That's what you're seeing in Mbere, you are seeing in Magarini. There's too much play over and above what should be quite a local contest. So, many local actors find themselves in very difficult waters because that's not how it's supposed to play out ordinarily. But then it's a by-election, and everybody else, like in war, everybody else brings their weapon there to test their weapons and stuff.
Thank you. So these are proxy wars, as we can see it, and the seminal figures are not actually people who are now being voted for. The seminal figures are behind. And we can see the arm wrestling that is really going on in some of the constituencies you've raised so far, looking at Malava, looking at Mbere North, and also Magarini. I think these are some of the high-tensed areas that everyone will want to see what the turnout will be. I don't know, what has been your observation so far?
I think some of the things are perceptions because of obsession by certain individuals of 2027. But from me, from where I sit, I think these by-elections afford the opportunity that people of those 6 constituencies and the Senate, the Baringo County, and the other wards to have their representatives. That is more critical. It's a democratic right. But as a country, Article 38 gives everybody political rights. Those who would want to imagine 2027 are free to imagine and even to canvass.
Yes.
Those who would want to imagine 2032 are free to imagine and even canvass. The new IEBC, chaired by Ethicon, will only preside over these by-elections, the main general election, and maybe by-election thereafter, because it expires by 2031 by the dint of the Constitution. But the architecture of our electoral system, since Kenya is a superpower democracy in the region and even in the continent, and in terms of practices of electoral processes, I am sure one man, one vote will count in this election. That is the most important thing. So there will be democracy, and I have seen, of course, there are heightened tensions of violence here and there, but we've seen the Ministry of Interior has ensured that there will be adequate security in all the polling stations, and voting will be orderly. And you know, the counting of votes in Kenya is open at the polling station. The media is there, observers are there, agents are there. So to me, I expect nothing short of a democratic process. That said, then looking at 2027.
Before you go to 2027, I would love you also maybe to address those concerns that are being raised in Malava regarding the voter suppression and the goons, the hiring, of course, also security.
I'm talking with my networks in the ground and all over the country. Those are just but tension. People just causing tension for nothing. People should not cause tension. Kenya is a free country. Voters in the polling stations in Malava, in Mbere, in Magarini, and everywhere. Wake up, go and vote. Your vote will count. If you are in the registers, you will be identified by biometric means. And using our biometric means can't allow mess up in the vote.
So do you think there's any rhyme or reason?
No, those are just
a moment.
Those are just but mischievous.
No. I'm asking, there's any rhyme or reason that you should have security, officers withdrawn from you? When we have Governor Natembeya alleging that has happened to him. When we have Senator Bodhalo alleging that is...
I've little capacity to talk about withdrawal of security personnel from certain officers, because that has got nothing to do with elections. It may have other reasons.
So you don't think there's any,
let me not comment
in any way
on that.
remotely connected
Let
to
me not
this
comment on that. It has no connection. It is not going to stop a voter from voting. So what we are talking about here are voters going to vote. Can voters go and vote? And with respect to 2027, Debal, the battlegrounds in this by-election are Malava, Mbere, and Magarini. That's a fact. And whichever way, the numbers will give us a lens of how 2027 will look like. And I can assure you, if you look at the six parliamentary seats, Banisa is already will go to UDA. That's almost a fact. And the combined opposition have even given up. They're not bothered. Nobody's talking about Banisa, you know it.
But you're not the IBC. Are you the IBC to tell us
Kasibul
why are you
Kapondo,
casting? Yes.
Kasibul Kapondo is going to ODM, that is broad-based.
No.
And what do you call, is it Unguja? Is going to...
You know, you're furtively actually campaigning for this.
No, I'm not campaigning, but I'm telling you...
No, that is still campaigning. We know, let the voters decide.
But I'm telling you...
This is voter influence that is not supposed to be happening for the people who are watching.
Okay,
yes.
Okay, let me recant that.
So that we can reprimand you off camera.
You're not going to... But we were looking at the lens of 2027, and I was trying to give you the picture that I see. It is the most important thing in this by-election, and we can't. What are the exit polls? Even in the U.S., by now we should be getting the exit polls in every station. So let us not fear talking about these numbers.
Too early to call.
And that's
too early to make the call.
It is
too early.
Too early.
It's too early. It's only you've not even 8 o'clock in the morning.
Some of them were called before.
People are still taking their breakfast.
Some of them were called before the election day.
Too early to call.
Some of them were called before the election day.
We take a short break.
No more excuses. It's time to rise, grind, and own your mornings. Join Coach Shadrach Oma every Monday to Friday from 5:30 to 6 a.m. only on TV 47. Full body workouts, zero equipment, maximum results. Start strong, stay strong. TV 47 Fitness with Coach Shadrach only on TV 47. Looking for the perfect way to kick off your weekend?
Pole. Hiyo ni salamu ya Mluya kabisa.
Tune in to Friday with Betty, the most exciting show on TV.
Betty, one tear gas. Betty, I didn't know where this guy's going.
From the latest news and trends to unforgettable moments.
Wewe ni simple.
Friday with Betty is your go-to show for a fabulous Friday night.
Theological, meteorologist, what is that word, Willis?
Tune in this and every Friday at 9 p.m. and let's make your Fridays unforgettable. Only on TV 47. Enjoy uninterrupted live streaming of your favorite programs on TV 47 and Radio 47 on the go with our new mobile-friendly website. Experience the future of broadcasting. Visit www.tv47.digital or scan this QR code and stream your way to endless news and entertainment. Welcome to the home of untold stories.
This is Kenya's #1 talk show, Dr. Farika tonight. My name is the Eagle himself. Dr. Farika is my name.
We continue pace with the coverage. Very interesting editorial cartoon which depicts what is happening on the ground right now, especially in Mbeere North. A soprano is the highest pitched adult singing voice, and it's very low in Mbeere. And you can see the king himself, as they will say, right, of the self-acclaimed king himself of Mount Kenya, and the Deputy President in an arm wrestle there. The arm wrestling is ongoing right now as voters are turning out to cast their vote in Mbeere North. And also this is a big test for the IBC as well. We are ready to deliver. And you can see the IBC there with a projected belly there, which is the ballot box is being delivered of a baby. And the babies today will be delivered in Baringo County, Banisa, Kasipul, Magarini. We have Mbeere North, I've mentioned, Ugunja as well. Magarini, we are there live, and 17 wards, Kariobangi, and also we shall be casting our eyes what is happening also as well in Turkana. This is bound to be a very good also testing ground for IBC as far as their preparedness is concerned. Even people are saying this will be a bellwether for the 2027 general election. A lot is now happening on the ground, and we'll be coming back just to follow up with how the voter turnout is happening on the ground. Those are the editorial cartoons, but we continue to hold, of course, court with our panelists here in studio, just to giving us a blow-by-blow analysis on what they're seeing on the ground, and just giving us also an accurate appraisement of where we're headed as far as the political dynamics in the country is concerned. We are holding court with Wilson Susion, who is a veteran educator and unionist. Also, we do have with us the party leader of Progress Plus Alliance, and we do have Fwamba, NC Fwamba, who is a political analyst as well. Right, let's just, what is it?
Yes, I was
He actually was done. He was done.
You were done. You actually
I was not done. I was not done.
You know, you're making hands, so I thought you lost your voice at
Allow
some
me
moment.
to conclude my
Please do.
intervention naturally.
Yes.
Naturally. That is, yes. Yeah, when we look at this by-election through the lens of 2027, through the lens of these by-elections, the numbers are already attaining an equilibrium. Yeah, because my projection is that Banisa is on a no contest for UDA and PPG. Kasibul is an
Could we refrain? No. I'll butt in at that particular point. Let us refrain in giving our projections here until late in the day, and we'll leave that to be the result of IBC.
Yes.
Okay. But on that particular note, can I just go to...
But you've mentioned...
I think it's Farmer's moment.
But you've mentioned, of course, you've said the battlegrounds. The battleground constituencies, of course, are Malava, and Bere. That is where the opposition are trebling to have some grip, and a grip which is gradually slipping away. I'm saying so because the master plan of the broad-based government and the UDA is already extremely convincing. It's when Fwamba talks about dualing of Rironi Malaba Highway, it's a big happening in this country because the Western Kenya has never been exhaustively and extensively opened in terms of infrastructure, the way it's being done now. And that will be done, whether, of course, my brother here talks of...
Allow me just to speak to pictures right now. If I may, Barton, please. There on the screen, you can see we have one of the contested there. That is DAP Kenya candidate. This is Seth Panyako, who you can see is pinky, or is it the index finger, which is being right now marked by the IEBC official, indicative of the fact that he has cast his ballot and is being greeted by the party officials there. Earlier on, we had also our reporter, Apollo Kamau, speaking to the party officials there and also the candidate. And here, the pictures earlier of him casting his vote. So one is Malava, which is contentious, Bere North, and Magarini, which Wilson Sossion is speaking to right now. All right, so let me just cut you short so that we can go to Fwamba, then we come to you, Arnold.
Well, you are talking about the proxy wars, and I think the dynamics, in what I understand, is that every constituency has its own dynamics. Like, I want to pick Bere North and Malava. Bere North, in particular for me, is an experiment for Gachagua, because Gachagua has been moving around trying to tell people that he's the king of the mountain and making an assumption that there's a very high likelihood that UDA does not have any vote in Mount Kenya. So for me, I'll not even look at the percentages who is winning or who is not. It's about whether UDA still has numbers in Mount Kenya or not. That's an experiment. And if it goes to an extent of being close or UDA winning, then it means that the whole hypothesis that Mr. Gachagua has been advancing is absolute falsehood. It does not hold any water. In Western, if you look at Malava, Seth Panyako was a UDA candidate in 2022, and he got 20,000 votes against Maluri Njendi, who was independent, who got 22,000 votes. A difference. No,
ANC is not
was an independent candidate.
In 20?
Maluri Njendi was an independent candidate.
ANC was ANC.
He's in ANC.
He was in ANC, yeah.
Okay. So Maluri Njendi got 22,000 votes, and Panyako got 20,000 votes on UDA. In Western, all of us are leaders. In Western, unlike many other regions where people talk about kingpins, that's why you are seeing everybody in Western is trying to be a kingpin. Our votes are negotiated at an individual level. Even Maliba here is a party leader. He will also negotiate in his own right. So that's why people should understand that the dynamics in Western have nothing to do with the presidential race other than the egos being tested for certain leaders in Western. People in Western Kenya generally love President William Ruto. And regardless of the outcome of this election in Malava, it will not necessarily be representative of how the votes will be shared come 2027 at the presidential level. It is just about people competing. Like we've seen Dr. Khalwale has been very clear that he wants to be engaged by President William Ruto. He has never joined this bandwagon called one term. And people in Western are so conscious of what Gachagua used to say when he was in power. He kept on saying that the shares in Western are enough, people are not supposed to get anything. No wonder every time people talk about the 30%, they still remember that whatever is not accessed by the people of Western was based on the utterances by Rigathi Gachagua. So today, anyone associated with him cannot in any way influence the coming of the votes in 2027 on where the presidential vote is going to be cast. So I want us to make that clarity so that we do not mix the issues. For Western, the dynamics are very different. For Mount Kenya, the contest between Deputy President Kindiki and the former Deputy President is very clear.
Right,
and
but
receive
I am surprised.
at the end of the day.
I am surprised that you're noting that the dynamics that are happening in Western Kenya, they have no bearing at all on the presidential election in 2027. Unless you're a stranger in Jerusalem.
The dynamics are very different. For us, we believe that the president, and he knows how to do these things well.
Why would the
president, before going to 2022 elections, used to engage voters at a very personal level. In fact, the problem in Western is that there are some people who took positions and became the apparent spokesman of Western, and therefore the president has not been able to engage the people directly. But I know
let me just ask
by
you
the time
directly.
we get to 2027 debate, I am very sure that the president, using his own skills that he has used before, and is a very good politician who understands the demographics of Western and the politics of Western, he'll reach out to the people, and people have already recognized the work he's been doing. So they'll deal with him individually. That's how our voters operate. Very different from where people talk about the kingpin of who and what. We don't do those things. We don't give our votes for anyone to carry in his basket.
Could you make me understand what you mean by they will deal with him individually?
That's the nature of politics in Western. Because what is happening right now are people who control certain fiefdoms competing over Malava to look like they're the ones who have influence here and there in this race between Ndakwa and Seth Panyako.
Okay, let me come to Arnold. Arnold, you hold the view that is being espoused here by Fwamba?
I know exactly why he's trying to spin. Of late, I've observed him for some time because I've known him since college days. And I think he needs to take on a new title. It's Fwamba NC Fwamba, EGB, the eternal Gachagua Basha. Because he has got this obsession, he has got this obsession with the Gachagua. Just look at his social media, look at the articles he has written, look at his commentary. He has got this Gachagua obsession. I don't know what, and maybe him being a lawyer man, probably.
He said that the shares, we cannot access shares. He said that
probably, Fwamba being a lawyer man, probably Gachagua ate his imondo. Or the gizzard. So there could
it's
be
all
need,
about the shares narrative, which was against nationalism.
There could be need for elders to actually intervene and ensure that he has got his share of the gizzard that probably Gachagua took.
And he will change tone.
But be that as it is, the reason why Fwamba is trying to run away from that is that because he's not so sure how the Malava by-election will turn out. A lot of times, I know the political thinking is that you claim strength when it's convenient, and you still claim strength even if you lost for purposes of face saving. So since he's not so sure how the Malava, because in Malava it's a close call. If anything, it's a close call that any of them could actually go through. But then I do not think that UDA and Kenya Kwanza administration that Fwamba seemingly is speaking for really shares the same opinion, because they've invested heavily into Malava. I don't think, probably Malava, this government problem has put in almost, this is my own estimation, almost $1 billion shillings into that seat. It could be one of the most expensive constituency seats so far. Because I'm looking at the number of Harambes that have actually gone in there. I'm looking at the continuous empowerment projects that have, Malava has seen so much development programs, quote unquote, in the last 4 or 5 months of campaign than it has actually seen for the last 3 years when the late MP was actually in office. There's been so much on the ground. We've seen so much go there. So with that kind of investment, I do not think that the people that are actually doing that share a similar opinion. The reason why political parties are actually going all out in these particular by-elections is because they know there is a bandwagon effect. That if perception, and politics is also largely very perceptional, that if it appears that Malava is lost, quote unquote, from UDA side or Kenya Kwanza side, then it will mean they will struggle going forward. Because voters are, I think, yesterday I said that a lot of times we think that politicians are crooked. Proper words, sometimes we think that politicians ni wakora, but hakuna mtu mkora kama voter. Voters are way smarter than politicians. Everything politicians tries to do is always as a response to the voter that is always evolving. So the voter ni mkora na ni mkorofi kuliko mwanasiasa. Politicians are always trying to catch up. That is why you see a lot of theatrics, and why you see a lot of chaos, because of the people. So there is too much, and I think Mwalimu here, Mwalimu Sosion and Fuamba here, since I see where they are speaking from, they should keep away from numbers deliberately, because Kenya Kwanza has not really had a good record when it comes to numbers. Even the State of the Nation address the other day, it was full of sophistry and snake oil. You look at the data given, and that data does not, if you are to read it in context, doesn't make sense. But you know, a lot of times somebody can quote right data in statistics, but if you contextualize it, you get it, it's wrong. So I would rather they remain qualitative when they are talking about 2027, because they have got this idea that they speak truth by accident. Not necessarily because...
Where did that come from?
because I've looked at the numbers Mwalimu Sosion has actually been throwing around. Total snake oil. Like, it's barely 8, and he's already calling.
Give us other.
And like all right, say, so Malava has always voted for government.
Okay.
So you should not imply that I'm afraid of the results.
Again, I can actually find a lie that has actually been told. And this is a recurring theme when it comes to Kenya Kwanza. God forbid that I worked for them at one point. Look at this. In 2013, Malulu Njendi ran on a party that was called Maendeleo Development Party, MDP. Mm-hmm. It was not in government. Yet the people of Malava voted for Malulu Njendi then. So the lie that Malava has always voted for government, number one, is found there. In 2017, he ran, I think, on Jubilee. That is when Jubilee was in government. In 2022, he ran on ANC. ANC was not government. So this narrative is the same thing with the president saying, but it wasn't.
It wasn't government.
It wasn't, because William Ruto was the opposition. Government was Azimio.
Shifted, the tremor was there.
Let's wait. Azimio.
So the tremor was shaking ANC into government.
ANC.
Somehow.
Let's get this. In 2022, there was Azimio, which was government. And then there was Tanga Tanga, which was the opposition then. ANC was part and parcel of Tanga Tanga, which was opposition. So proper government in 2022 was Azimio, not Tanga Tanga. Mm-hmm. Tanga Tanga was the opposition. So the narrative that Malava has always voted for government is a lie.
But given the stakes the stakes and where the needle was moving, when
you're talking about government, has always voted for government, or has always voted, because even in 2013, the government then, quote unquote, was Raila Odinga with his code.
Anytime they're not in government, they usually endear themselves.
Okay, let him
identify with government.
Unless he actually wants to say that Malava somehow are prophetic, so they vote for what is going to be in government.
If they don't, they incline towards government.
So, be that as it is, it will be important. Why I'm saying that is that if you look at the way they posit statistics, you know, I have said this before, that a lie is anything that looks like truth. If you were to define what a lie is anything that looks like truth.
Maleva is contradicting himself. He's disputing other statistics.
Let him finish.
When the president, for example, says, and this is when I'm actually putting this out, when he says that he has stabilized the forex, specifically the USD exchange rate, a lot of times you can actually buy that wholesale if you don't remember that on the day of election, the dollar was at 118 Kenya shillings. On the day when the president was sworn in, the dollar was actually at 122. And that in 2023 and 2024, when the dollar ran riot, before it was reined in, it is the president who was in control. But when he spoke, you look at bullet number 23 on the State of the Nation address, he speaks of having stabilized. In fact, he says that at a time like this in 2022, that is on 20th of November 2022, the dollar was in a free fall, which is a lie. It is the same thing when he says that Kenya has actually stabilized, is now number 6. What the president forgets is that in 2022, Kenya was number 6 economy in Africa, 2021 the same, 2019 the same. Until 2017, that's when we had dropped back to number 8. So when Kenya dropped from number 6 from 2023, 2024, who was the president? But it is presented as if it is actually progress. So, and it's the same thing these two are doing here, that they present numbers, pseudo-statistics that look like it's real, but we need to define the truth for what it is, that a lie is anything that looks like truth. Otherwise, the truth should be absolute.
All right.
Going back to where we are, in election.
Yes, please, can I give, then you, before you go back to where we are, yes, let me hear from Sosion. Maybe he has a rejoinder. And then primarily, even as we're looking at Malava, and we know, and we're talking about government and UDA, the dissolving of ANC, which will really play out in this particular by-elections as well. Two seminal figures that we have there is Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula. So for the political,
he didn't respond to the Murkomen issue. There was something I needed to say about that that was very important. Kindly.
All right, 1 minute.
He said that he wouldn't respond to the withdrawal of security from some actors in the political field. But you see, as we went to 2022, the Kenya Kwanza side said that they would never weaponize the criminal justice system, the security sector, to actually oppress the critical voices. But that's exactly what we are doing. Yesterday, Murkomen, you can actually look at the CS Murkomen says that we recalled bodyguards because the leaders were engaging in crime. The same CS who a few weeks ago said the police are independent. So the CS here is commenting on operational.
It has happened
an
before.
operational end. I know, but
even Gachagua said that sometime back.
But it's the same CS who said that the police are independent and he cannot comment on operational end. So when we talk about the NPS independence, it's normally command independence. So who has withdrawn? Is it the CS at policy level who only does coordination, or is it the IG and the attendant authorities they are under? But this we have seen over the years, that every time we go to an election, governments have always, especially the side that is in power, has always weaponized the security. We've seen the weaponization of security. Like, for example, if we were to ask, what were the police doing in Narok, blocking Gachagua from going to Narok, for example? It didn't make sense. It was an open campaign season. He has a candidate there in DCP, but we saw the police blocking his entrance there. So, as much as he didn't want to comment on that, and he's wise, Mwalimu is quite wise. He knows where to run away. So,
all right.
He didn't want
to cannot speak for me.
All right, yeah.
So, Debal, I think...
I can comment on what he has said.
I think Debal, none of us can speak for the other in this show. We are adequate enough to speak for ourselves. And looking at these by-elections, we cannot just be looking at qualitative issues only around the entire by-election ecosystem. The main thing is quantitative, it's numbers. By now, we are talking about...
But it's casting discussions on the accuracy of your quantitative accuracy is in question.
Allow me to make my comments.
Please do.
Yeah. So we are now talking about the voter turnout, how are the numbers, and what are the exit polls. You know, we must elevate our electoral system in Kenya, that we are able to make early projections on time, and we are able to get what is happening. So that we talk not only of administrative issues around elections, but we also talk about the numbers, why the numbers, but these are facts about Malaba constituency. Malulu Njendi was a member of ANC, and ANC voluntarily chose to join Kenya Kwanza and be part of Kenya Kwanza to form government. And the people of Malaba voted for Malulu in ANC, knowing that they were forming government. And when Malulu Njendi died, he was vice chair of Education Committee in the National Assembly. That's a fact. So people of Malaba constituency knew they had a member of parliament who was part of the current government of Kenya, that is Kenya Kwanza. No people in Kenya vote to remain in the opposition. They vote to try and be part of the governance system of the country. And I don't think the story is any different in these by-elections. When Fuamba talked about the massive infrastructure program by the president, that's an agenda that will be voted for in the by-elections as well. Because people are not voting from the blues. People are voting based on the existing agendas of the different groups. In Malava, the DAP, they have their manifesto. And Kenya Kwanza and Broad-Based, for that matter, have their agenda. And one of them is the road infrastructure, which he talked about, which will be commissioned tomorrow by the president. Then you look at, for the first time, dualling of the highway to Malaba. It will take about 3 hours to travel from Nairobi to Malaba. Dualling from Total to Kisumu. Dualling from Kericho to Esebania. And that will happen through the infrastructure master plan. Malibu is trying to bastardize the President's State of the Nation address. That State of the Nation underpinned economic revolution in this country. And getting the country to the first world is not just about road infrastructure. It is not just about electricity infrastructure, which will be done. It is not just about housing infrastructure, which is gaining traction. It is not just about ICT infrastructure, which is covering the country. It is not just about water infrastructure, which will be achieved. It will be about poverty reduction. You know, to say the first world, the measures and the indicators is around the economy and per capita income of an individual Kenyan. That then, the real measure will be poverty level and reduction of that poverty. Take, for example, Malaysia. I was there in 07. The poverty index in Malaysia was at 3%. And at that time, the poverty index in Kenya was at 48%, meaning in every 100, 48 persons in Kenya are living below poverty line. And when when the president talks about the country living to the first world, it means almost everybody getting out of the poverty bracket. The 3% that we have in Malaysia are the Aborigines who have insisted on living their traditional life in forests, even when homes are built. Let me tell you, Malaysia, the first thing they ever did, because now they're in 13th Malaysian plan, in 07 they were in the 9th Malaysian plan. And by 07, all Malaysians had access to houses. A population of 16 million, and with close to 23 million tourists visiting Malaysia every year, almost every citizen, and several foreigners, millions, going in for jobs in Malaysia. And that's, you know, when you talk about those numbers and those indicators, when you talk of moving to the first world, we must get into quantify numbers and what really shall have changed by that time. So it's not about just road infrastructure and the rest. The road infrastructure that the president has outlined is implementation of the infrastructure programs extensively and successfully within 10 years, so that then other developmental programs can come in place. And the president has rightly projected by 2055 we should be in the first world. That means the poverty index in Kenya shall have been brought down to a single digit, if it is possible. Is it wrong for us to dream big and plan to remove poverty in this country? So the voters across in all the constituencies are listening to the master plan of the president. And so the voting will be aligned to the aspirations and the vision of the country and what the vision carrier is talking about. Whereas in Malaba, there are a lot of domestic sibling wars, more than the national issues. Of course, it's about who is senior and who is what.
All right.
That is where the question of some are trying
which I want us to look at,
upstage the influence of Mudavadi and Wetangula. But you can't. Those are the sitting leaders of the people of Western Kenya. They are the current vision carriers of the people of Western Kenya. And the people of Western Kenya are alive to that. That will play within Malaba. But you see, in terms of numbers with respect to 2027 for presidential, it is already above the threshold. If they are talking about Malaba is 50-50 and it is local, and
so we'll be eagerly waiting to see.
Then without a doubt, the numbers of all those who will be voting, whether for DAP or UDA, if there were to be presidential conduct, you can be very sure 90% will vote for President William Ruto. The same case in Mbere. The numbers are clear, and it's indicator across board that President William Ruto, through this by-election, is the most popular presidential candidate who will win the presidency in 2027.
All right. I would like you to refrain. Yes. All right, all alone, we're just seeing pictures there of coming from Mboni there, where we saw the voters are filing up, which continues apace, as it were. And this is following the death of Gideon Kivu in 2023, who was the MCA there. And now, happened early when we started off, the numbers were not as lengthy as it is right now. And we are doggedly following what is happening on the ground, even as we continue with the conversation here. Remember, this is happening also in Kariobangi North. We shall be able to be touching base with our reporter on the ground as well. Kariobangi North ward there, where the MCA seat is being garnered for today. And of course, as we continue apace with the conversation, we are also questioning what does it portend as Sosion, Arnold Maliba and Fwamba here. We're looking at one of the key area, which is Malava, as we can see there, security officer on guard there. But seminal figures like Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula, we have Sosion saying, these are the key leaders, and everyone now is sort of really, swirling around them as far as their political experience is concerned. But the question is, Maliba, I wanted just to ask you this. Yes. Is the center really speaking to the periphery? Is Musalia's also political future pegged on UDA, or is a man's man? Actually, is he a man's man? Can he stand alone and actually, steamroll himself moving forward and garner votes? Is Moses Wetangula a man's man as well, that he can actually stand without any crutches from UDA or the upper reaches of government?
I think as much as Sosion and Fwamba really want to run away from that question, at least so far from how the conversation has gone, you would realize that the stakes, especially for Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula, are very high in this by-election, specifically in Kabuchai, which has actually also experienced a little bit of violent actions in this morning. Is that for the first time we've seen Musalia Mudavadi who can threaten for the very first time. Normally that's not his brand of politics. We've seen him threaten now, but we've seen him even attempt insults. That is never Musalia Mudavadi for you. So that will actually tell you, in the words of Chinua Achebe, that when you see a toad running in the day, then it's either running after something big or something big is after it. So that is not the Musalia Mudavadi that we know. So that he's running out definitely speaks to the stakes that are out there. I expect a cabinet reshuffle and government reorganization either next week or sometimes after that. Number one, to take care of the Gideon Moi factor. And number two, to also speak to how this by-election goes out. The only reason why the government reorganization has actually really slowed down, the anticipated government reorganization has actually not been acted on, is number one, because of the passing on of Raila Odinga. Number two, of course, this by-election. So, of course, it's reflective of how you move forward. If you look at recent data, you will see that Western has moved from being an Azimio, or opposition bit of it. It's not in government. It's now a battleground voting bloc. We see the same in cost. So for Musalia Mudavadi, it's important for him to actually be able to demonstrate to William Ruto that he's a man who can actually hold ground. He's a lieutenant that can actually hold ground. We've seen the same also in Mbeere. Kindiki was given the deputy president's position, and he's gone all out. We've seen him go all out. So there is just no way you actually would want to brush off this and still get lyrical the way Mwalimu has actually gone and said President William Ruto is actually the man to beat in 2027. Actually, for his information, I'd just like to tell him that even if you gave 50% of the cost vote to William Ruto, you gave him 50% of Western, gave him even 30% in Eastern, which is almost impossible at the moment, gave him 30% in Central, gave him the whole of Northeastern, and gave him at least 70% of Rift Valley, because there's the Rift Valley that is not Rift Valley. You understand what I'm trying to say? And 50% of Nairobi, he will still not make for president. In absolute numbers, I know miracles happen. There's even a church called Maximum Miracle Center. But I can tell you in 2027, if you look at this number, and here is actually going qualitatively, there is no way William Ruto actually becomes president. You realize that I don't interfere when they speak. Somehow they get itchy when I speak. So please, Fwamba, can you hold?
I just mentioned your name. Arnold.
Just allow me to actually run through that. So, so from where we sit, And you've realized that the one thing they really are trying to push is this Rironi Mau Summit. They even have forgotten on this very, very seat. These are people pushing government policy comms, and they are here telling you that we are dueling Rironi to Malaba, when clearly even government communication says it's Rironi Mau Summit, at least phase one. That's where it is.
But
so
eventually,
it will get to Malaba.
Look at this.
We must talk about Malaba.
Hope.
It's a vision.
Because it will get to Malaba.
Because it's important
No
to try and buy people along the way to Malaba to think that something that is coming immediately. That's not going to come immediately.
Nothing comes
and
immediately, of course.
This speaks
But there
about
must be a
this
vision.
administration's love for twisting data. Like we say, in God we trust, everybody else must bring data. But what these people bring here is, like I said, sophistry and a lot of snake oil. These Majitu stories that they try to move using data really is not very helpful. Like, for example, he's here talking about Malaysia, and he's gone on and on and on. The president used to be a Christian. I don't know whether he still is. So I think the president can remember Luke 16, 10 to 14. It says that if you cannot be trusted in small things, who will trust you in bigger things? How then do we trust the president with 2055 when he cannot take care of 2022, 2027? How do we trust the president with Vision 2030 when we cannot trust him with the plan, which he himself committed to doing? So it's easy to go out there and paint a rosy figure, but the numbers are not supporting that. Our economy has shrunk. From 2015 to date, we have actually 7 million Kenyans have actually become poorer. It's data, it's out there, official government data. So these numbers that they keep on pushing, and if you realize there's a way they tweak them. I know for Stratcoms it's important to get statistics and try to help them look like they are making sense. But those statistics that they are pushing do not speak to reality. So that is why I would still insist, Fuamba and Sosion, for purposes of us moving forward, please focus on qualitative arguments. You are so good with that. When it comes to quantitative arguments, you fall through, at least when I'm here. Those will pass where you have got a parliament that can clap for you without questioning. But if you look at those numbers, they don't make sense. They fall through. Everything they're trying to push around here.
All right.
So can we, like, for example, just focus on the
Okay, can I just railroad the conversation back also to the by-election,
move
please.
away from this.
But Arnold Maliba is
the State of the Nation address. Yes, we're actually doing it, and we're looking at what are the projections moving forward for these political figures as well, because this will be very pivotal, informing us forward on how also President William Ruto is going to recalibrate his government. Right, because who is the person who is bringing the numbers? Does Wetangula bring the numbers? Does also Musalia Mudavadi bring the numbers as well?
Let me talk about Western. You know, in 2022, people of Western voted for Azimio, others voted for Kenya Kwanza. After that, I think President William Ruto accommodated Raila Odinga under ODM, and they did broad-based government. But in Western, the difference is that locally, those people who are in Kenya Kwanza ring-fenced everything and continued operating as Kenya Kwanza, fighting for their own fiefdoms of their recognition. They want to have their own people around, not being accommodative to another person. In fact, they still label people there, this as me or this that. And for that reason, they have alienated some people from supporting the president. And that's why I was saying the president's approach, and I agree with Arnold Maliba to some extent, although he contradicts himself a lot. Because on Malava, he has clearly stated that the president has initiated a lot of developmental projects. Then he goes ahead and then says that there's nothing that is happening.
I said quote and quote.
So people...
Don't run away from that. I
no,
said,
but you said things have been on the ground, even if you eventually did quote unquote.
Not eventually.
You stated that there is development ongoing on the ground, and a lot of money has been invested on the ground. People appreciate things that they can see, things that they can touch, and that has been demonstrable in Western. And that's why I said before 2022, the president was able to engage people, the voters, at very low levels before these principles came in and they formed part of his coalition. I'll encourage him to continue like that. Even this Maliba, who is a party leader, I told you in Western, everybody is a leader in his own right. The president should be able to reach out to everybody in Western because those people are behind him. The only difference, and what we are seeing in Malava, is that everybody is trying to compete with another person. But the war is not against the president. The president will still have capacity to control even that Malava vote to almost 90%, as Mwalimu Sosioni said. So that is the kind of approach and analysis that we are supposed to look at. That is so different from what we are seeing in Beere, which is about the test for Gachagua to prove whether he's really the king of the mountain, has been trying to claim. This is the day of judgment.
Right.
Have you realized that the only analysis Fwamba wants us to actually follow is the analysis that declares William Ruto the eventual winner? But then when he speaks for Western End, he says we. Who appointed you the spokesperson for the people of Western?
Everybody in Western is a kingpin.
So you cannot say we.
Everybody in Western is a kingpin. Even you are a party leader.
Who gave you the brief? Secondly,
if you're not accommodated under those ones.
Allow me.
Secondly, when
just a moment. I'll give you a moment.
Western are behind the
slow your roll.
Is speaking for you.
Just a moment.
Western is done.
The voters on the ground are behind President William.
Behind the president doing what?
The only difference is that there are people who are fighting on the ground.
All right, let me just bat it a little bit, because I think also we have 2 or 3 wards here when we forget what is happening in Nyamira County as well, where ODM was struggling to fill a candidate. When we talk about Nyasiongo in Borabu, we are talking about Nyasimuye as well, and Ekeronyo. And this also will be a very indicative testing ground for Fred Matiang'i with the Jubilee Party, because with Jubilee Party is really gaining traction also, I think, in Kisii region with Fred Matiang'i, and there is that projection that the UPA and Jubilee Party, they could be having a coalition at the end of the day. We just want to get an update, because I think it's lost in the shuffle, even in our discussion and our projection of what is happening in Nyamira County, which is very pivotal. And we will want to analyze and see, is ODM also losing grip in Nyamira County and the entire Kisii region as well? Let's get the update there from Nyasiongo.
Na asante sana. Nipo katika kituo hiki, mojawapo ya vituo vya upigaji kura katika wadi ya Nyasiongo katika shule hii ya msingi ya Menyenya, ambapo tumefika hapa mwendo wa saa 12. Wapiga kura tayari wanaonekana wanaendelea kuingia katika kituo hiki ambacho kina rumu 5. Katika rumu hizi 5, 2 zina wapiga kura ambao wamesajiliwa 680 na rumu zingine 3 zina wapiga kura ambao wamesajiliwa 679 kwa kila chumba. Na napata fursa niweze kuzungumza na mmoja wapiga kura ambaye tayari ashafanya zoezi, ameshapiga kura kwa kidemokrasia. Tutakuwa nazungumza naye, pengine uweze kusonga hapa karibu, tueleze jina lako ni nani, hasa siku ya leo ulifika mwendo wa saa ngapi katika eneo hili, na unaona hali ipo vipi katika kituo hiki cha kupiga kura cha Menyenya?
Kwa majina naitwa Benson Obaga. Tunashukuru Mungu tumerauka mapema. Nilifanikiwa kufika hapa saa 12:30 na nimeshapiga kura yangu, na naona zoezi linaendelea vizuri. Ninazoomba ni kwamba tutulize amani katika hali ya zoezi hili, na watu waweze kupiga kura kwa utaratibu na kwa amani, na tuweze kupata kiongozi. Kila mtu apate haki yake ya kuchagua kiongozi ambaye anayependa na anayekuwa na katika sera zake yenye anaona sera zake zinamfutia. Hayo ndio niko nayo machache.
Na asante sana. Pindi tuweze kupata mpiga kura mwingine, ukikaribia tu hapo tueleze jina lako ni nani, na kama umeweza kupiga kura siku ya leo ulifika hapa saa ngapi, na zoezi hilo unaliona vipi?
Mimi naitwa Chomo Oga. Mimi ni mpiga kura wa Nyasiongo ward hapa Menyenya. Nimeamka sasa hivi asubuhi hii ya leo, nimekuja kupiga kura yangu ndio niende kazi mapema. Sasa hivi nimepiga kura kwa sababu tumeteseka muda mrefu tukiwa bila MCA, maendeleo imekwama, kila kitu kimekwama. Sasa hivi ndio sababu tumeamka asubuhi hii ya leo.
Naam, asante sana. Ukitazama kwamba kumbuka kwamba katika kaunti ya Nyamira tuna maeneo wadi 3 ambayo wanapiga kura, katika ikiwa Nyasiongo ni moja wapo, eneo wadi la Nyamaiya, Ekerenyo. Kumbuka kwamba maeneo wadi haya Nyamaiya iliweza kupoteza mwakilishi wadi ambaye aliweza kuiaga dunia ambaye alikuwa ni Elijah Osemo. Eneo lile la Ekerenyo, mwakilishi wadi wa eneo hilo aliweza kujiuzulu kwa baada ya kupata fursa ili aweze kuhudumia kaunti ya Nyamira kama spika wa bunge la kaunti hilo. Na eneo hili la Nyasiongo ambapo tupo baada ya chaguzi ya mwaka 2022, yule ambaye alikuwa wa pili alielekea mahakamani na mahakama ya Keroka ikaweza kusema chaguzi zile hazikuwa za huru na haki. Ndio maana sasa hivi tunaendelea, lakini kumbuka kwamba katika chaguzi hizi ambazo zinaendelea kwa sasa, nikiweza kupatia takwimu katika wadi ile ya Nyamaiya, wapiga kura ambao wamesajiliwa pale kulingana na sajili ile ya mwaka 2022 ni wapiga kura 16,231, na katika wadi ile ya Kerenyo iko na wapiga kura 14,327. Na vile vile katika eneo hili la Nyasiongo wako wapiga kura 16,050. Ndio idadi kamili, ambapo katika wadi hii ya Nyasiongo tuko na vituo 29, katika wadi ile ya Nyamaiya tuko na vituo 30, na katika wadi ile ya Kerenyo tuko na vituo 29. Ni hayo tu kwa sasa, lakini kumbuka kwamba tutakuwa tunakita kambi ili uweze kuhakikisha kwamba msikilizaji wetu tunakufahamisha na kukutaarifu yale ambayo yanajiri baada ya kila tukio. Sina la ziada ila kurejesha usukani kwako studioni. Jangu jina ni Kombo Alfayo kutoka kituo hiki cha shule ya msingi ya Menyenya, kaunti ya Nyamira.
Right, thank you. Kombo Alfayo there reporting from Nyasiongo in Borabu. That is in Nyamira County. And just as he's told us, of course, we do have as well Nyasiongo, which is in north west that is, yes, still in Nyamira County, in West Mugirango, and also Ekeronyo as well. We shall be following that particular story of how it is panning out, but also bringing a very interesting angle to it as well, knowing that UPA has been fielding the candidate there. ODM has been losing grip in Nyamira. We saw them really struggling also to field a candidate earlier. And the Jubilee Party and Fred Matiang'i could be gaining traction also in Nyamira County, because they want a national feel, or national appeal, I should say, and feel when it comes to, you know, getting a party that it is all over the country, like the Jubilee Party as opposed to the UPA Party. And of course, we know the party leader is also embroiled in some sort of corruption. Is it the impeached governor? Right? Is it under him, or it is different? That is his party, isn't it? Okay.
Still, we cannot run away from numbers and seeing what the numbers are.
Yeah, we'll come to numbers. I just wanted to speak. It will be remiss of us to just talk about Nyasiongo and not really talk about Nyamira politics a bit before we go to the numbers. Yes, also, you can bring your numbers to bear in Nyamira.
We'll go to Nyamira politics. If we talk about Nyamira politics, the governor has been impeached by the assembly. That is a sovereign democratic right
does that
provided to the people of Nyamira, or the people of Kenya, through the MCAs with respect to assemblies. And impeachment of the governor will have no connection with the by-elections, because by-elections are in the wards, and looking at the level, the brand of our politics in terms of Vision 2030, the political pillar, our politics tend to be very much issue-based.
But we cannot really uncouple, issue of character. You are the party leader.
So allow me.
You've been impeached because you've been embroiled in corruption. And here is your party also projecting a candidate.
Allow me to finish.
I just wanted to ask that particular question. You're saying there is no bearing of that impeachment or corruption allegations, him being impeached and his party. He's a party leader. We cannot run away from that particular fact that UP is fielding a candidate. And they're voting today.
The people who impeached the governor are 23 MCAs. And there are reasons for impeachment, preaching the allegations. And that matter will be handled differently. But the people who will vote are the voters in the respective wards. And voters tend to democratically vote for individuals and leaders. Remember, the people being voted for are locals. And all politics is local. So, away from the impeachment, I believe from my own experience and projection that the dynamics may not be related to the same at the voting level. Voters will vote for their candidates. The only thing at play, which you have stated, is the party itself. You are questioning about Matiang'i. I would be very excited to take Matiang'i very seriously, if indeed there are Jubilee candidates in those wards, and Jubilee candidates actually clinch those positions. Then we shall say the deputy party leader of Jubilee has control and authority. The Kisii region tends to be very liberal. And I may also inform you, there are many UDA candidates. There are UDA candidates in all those wards. And we've seen significant numbers supporting the UDA candidate. So you might be looking at the impeached governor's party, and you're looking at the influence of Matiang'i, but the political chemistry on the ground is different. People have different ideas, different ideologies, and UDA is extremely strong in Gusii land with many MPs and with a lot of interest even in these by-elections. And let us just wait. We see how the numbers will come out. But then coming back, pivoting back to the arguments of Western, I don't think anybody is intended to be punished because of the outcome of Western elections. If some people are trying to scale down the numbers so that it looks like Mudavadi and Wetangula have failed in Western, that's the wrong thing. The voters will vote. They'll do whatever they will do. But that is not reason to punish anybody because of
it is not Mudavadi who is running.
And they are not the ones running. Yes. And they are in government. Wetangula is the speaker.
We're talking about also proxy wars. Aren't you the one who was talking about the proxy wars?
Wetangula is the speaker.
Yeah.
No, I was talking about direct sibling rivalry on the ground.
Yes.
We see it playing out. We see local tough wars playing out, which has got nothing to do with the connection of the national government and the presidency. And I dare say, if there was a ballot box in Malaba today for presidential candidates, and that is President William Ruto and any other candidate, I can assure you it would be 90% for William Ruto. William Ruto has the strongest popularity support in Western. He has not interfered with the politics of Western. He has been very busy focusing on the development agenda of Western.
That is true. That is true.
When the cane farmers, when the sugar cane farmers are being paid weekly and the tonnage has gone up, it is significant.
Even pen
in
paper
turning
people
around.
are compensated now.
It is significant. The president has been very deliberate. When he said mambo ni matatu for those sugar barons who had inflicted poverty on the people of Western through previous regimes and other arrangements, that thing dissipated and now cane farmers are benefiting in Western. When we talk about this dual highway, and you want to say it's ending at total, it is not ending at total. The infrastructure master plan, no, allow me to speak, don't interfere. The infrastructure master plan that the president has proposed and budgeted at 5 trillion is going to be done under 10 years. It is infrastructure work that could have taken 70 years if it was approached through the regular budgeting of and taxes of Kenyans. What Malaysia did, for example, was to mobilize alternative resources to finance their development agenda. And that's why they were able to do it in a shorter time. It is a master plan that the president has adopted, and he has sold it to Kenyans, and it is going to be possible in under 10 years to get the railway through to Malaba, to get the dual highway through from Rironi to Malaba, to get the dual highway through Kericho Kisumu to Malaba. And it is possible to do that. The trunks of infrastructure enables the economy to thrive. And that thriving of the economy will eliminate poverty. And the real measure of Kenya moving to the first world is the poverty index coming down substantially, meaning every Kenyan will benefit. And that journey has started. If the sugarcane farmers are being paid weekly and religiously, that is a step towards that. If the MSME activities and programs are making sense to the ordinary wananchi, then that is an indicator of a journey out of poverty. The overall master plan of the president, in short, in a simple message, is that can we as Kenyans get out of the poverty bracket where we have a huge population and get everybody out of the poverty circle. And it is possible to do that in an economy of social equality, transparency, and clear master plans and clear development programs that are agreed upon. And that is the basis of voting even across in the by-election.
All right.
When we get to Mbere, because he talked about numbers.
We are talking about Nyamira. Can we finish with
when we get to Mbere,
we'll talk to you.
Allow me to finish because
yes, finish.
I'm jiming on, I'm just dealing with data across. When you get to Mbere and you see the data that comes out in support of UDA, it's a huge numbers. And that is an indicator that the president still retains significant numbers in Mount Kenya. That's a fact. That's a fact. Numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie.
Those are confirmable facts according to who?
Confirmed statistical facts.
Which research? Which research could you quote? When was it published?
Of course we'll see the
we are not privy to this particular research.
When we are seated here, there are already exit polls. It's very clear. It's very
Where is numbers? I'm not being furnished with any exit polls.
Data.
Why would we have exit polls while the voting has just started? I mean, even these exit polls,
are they opinion polls.
No.
We are not operating in a vacuum.
We are going to see whether they claim by Gachagua.
And you can do your own opinion poll.
Opinion poll
we can do
does not.
You invited us so that we speak what we know.
All right.
So I'm speaking what I know. The numbers are extremely significant. And so 2027 presidential contest is a closed case.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me come. I'll come to you, Arnold. Just hold on a bit. But I wanted to ask you a very maybe quite poignant question. Since now you're talking about data, how would you explain that in the most recent Global Hunger Index, Kenya ranks 103? It's actually 103 out of
Global
136 countries, with a score of 25.6. Global Hunger Index. Hunger. Njaa. We're talking about njaa. Yeah? Indicating a serious level of hunger. And this is a decline from previous years, with a significant increase in the proportion of undernourished people and stunting children. We have it being ranked here. We've actually gone back. And it says that child stunting, 17.9% of children under 5 are stunted. There's also the child wasting, the child mortality. In this epoch of time, a regression here, Kenya's 2025 score shows a regression from a score of 23.1% in 2016, indicating a worsening situation despite earlier progress.
To be specific on that, let's tell him that in January, 2.1 million Kenyans, according to GHI, will be facing hunger.
Now, Debal.
So yes, and this is severe.
An increase by a million, by the way.
Severe.
Now, you've asked me that question.
Yeah, I've asked that question.
You see, that is data, and you can't run away from data. Even Oxfam released...
This is the data I want you to give me. These opinion polls that you're quoting, exit opinion polls, from which one?
Let me come to that.
Do you have? Is it from TIFA? Is it from which one?
Let me come to that.
Please.
We cannot run away from data, from research. It gives us a pointer. As a country in 2022, we saw sufurias in the street. We saw shortage of unga not long ago, 2022. Do you think a miracle has happened within 3 years? Definitely not. This transition from being a food insecure to being a food secure with proper nutrition is a journey that has not been concluded. A lot of reforms are still underway in agriculture. The threats are still real. And that is why when you talk of moving the country from third world to the first world, those are the issues to be addressed. The report that was released yesterday by Oxfam about disparities in terms of wealth distribution in the country. It is something that we must all react to as a country. If we are talking about reducing poverty by 2055, then it means there must have been mechanisms put in place to ensure social and economic equality. From the trade union perspective, if you want to transform a country, deal with such data. Don't run away from them. I am not saying Kenya has become a paradise in 3 years. There are challenges. There is work to be done, and work by all of us. If we want to criticize what we need to criticize, let us criticize with quality data, and we deal with those particular challenges. So the global comparators and analysis will be done in different sectors. Even in terms of health, there will be analysis in education, global competitiveness we shall look at, and how the country is ranked, even in terms of corruption. Let me tell you, not everything is right in this country, even what was being dealt with. The pillar on agriculture, a lot has been done. When you look at fertilizer was selling at 7,000.
We thought now that will have actually borne some fruits.
What did the sale at 7,000 mean? It means prohibiting small-scale farmers and also overtaxing small-scale farmers. That has been alleviated. And the agriculture pillar in itself, in making the country to work, has not been achieved. That is why the president was talking about promoting the irrigation-fed agriculture in almost all parts of the country. That strategic intervention to ensure that there is sustainability in food production and there is all Kenyans and all children are receiving good nutrition is work that must be done. We can't run away from that. We cannot go to rooftops and say Kenya has become a paradise. It has not. And that is why the president has put 2055 as the focus timeline for us to get every Kenyan out of poverty. And he has given 10 years as a timeline to get our infrastructure right. Because the
10 years, just a moment.
The means and foremost,
isn't this misplaced priority? No.
The means of removing people out of poverty. The means of removing people out of poverty and taking the country to the first world is development of infrastructure.
The Chinese say,
all right. So we are developing infrastructure. We have, a country that people are dying of hunger.
No, we are not saying.
I'm saying where should die investing more money?
No. Let us have a balance of thoughts and balance of argument.
Okay.
We are not saying let us be thoughts so that people die.
All right, thank you. Just a moment. Let's hear from Arnold. Yes.
If I didn't have experience with working with Kenya Kwanza and data, I would actually buy into this. And that's why I insisted from the very beginning that when it comes to data, these guys will rather stick to being qualitative. They do so well. Because when you listen to Mwalimu here, the way he actually, when you brought the GHI data, there's too much conflating, mixing up data. You hear a lot of, like I said, sophistry, snake oil, punctuated with statistics and presented with the conviction of a preacher. That's what we've just gone through here. Because you look at how he actually is going around data. They are skirting around it, and they do not just want to actually face it. I said clearly that in God we trust, everybody else must bring data. But you see, you cannot go around skirting around data and not necessarily facing the hard realities that are there, because the numbers they are presenting conflict with the reality. Sometimes you want to think, do these guys live in this country? I've just told you, and he's quoted the Oxfam report, that from 2015 to date, that is 10 years, which William Ruto has actually been part and parcel of the management of these public affairs of the country, is that we have produced 7 million people. We've taken them to extreme poverty. 7 million. So it's not getting better. But then we are running around trying to preach hope, doing so good numbers. But there's nothing new that the president has presented that is not in Vision 2030. So running into Vision 2030, plucking a few projects and presenting as your noble and novel ideas is also stealing ideas as they were. So can they remain on the qualitative side so that then we focus on politics? I wanted to speak about Nyamira because it speaks to a very important thing. What's happening in Kisii and Nyamira specifically speaks to the fate of ODM in future. ODM has struggled to get candidates in those two sides because of a simple thing. There is a clear strategy in Kenya Kwanza, and I don't know whether the ODM people really are looking at it. The Kenya Kwanza team, and they are so good at working tomorrow. You know, the president is the best propagandist we've ever had since independence. That is why the rest of the people that are supporting him end up just parroting the things he says, even without counter-checking. So the ODM people have actually been pushed into a place where ODM is being Nyanzanized. And I'm talking about Luo Nyanzanization of ODM. ODM has been a national organization. But if you look at it, the argument generally out there within their circles is that if Raila could not negotiate for a deputy president when he was alive, then ODM cannot, in the absence of Raila, negotiate for anything over and above what they already have. So how then do you ensure that you box them there? You ensure that ODM's affairs only rotate around Nyanza. And that is why outside of Magarini and Ugunja, which is in Nyanza, ODM does not have significant footprint elsewhere. Of course, they've got a candidate in Kariobangi, not so much. The governor for Turkana, for example, is an ODM guy. But somehow, ODM does not have candidates of note in the two, I think it's Lake Zone and Nanam, or the two wards. Do you know what happened? I would, because we in the political circles know. Those guys were ODM candidates who were given support by the governor, which is in ODM, to go and run on UDA. Those are the people that are going to win. So automatically, ODM that had some very good footprint in Turkana has been edged out. And there is a very clear card on the table to ensure that ODM focuses on Luo Nyanza only, so that then they do not even be in a position where they can negotiate for anything beyond what they already have. That's a strategy that is out there, so that then you turn Coast, where ODM has had a history for a long time, into a contested battleground. In Western, you also turn the same. And in whose favor is that working? It's working, of course, in the Kenya Kwanza side. And Matiang'i has done well in consolidating the Kisii vote. So what then happens there is that even, you know, Kisii, traditionally, at the top, Raila has always had his presidential vote. Down here in between, they could vote whoever they wanted. So you know that anybody, Kisii is in Nyanza, yes, anybody but ODM will win in Kisii. You can talk about Jubilee, you can talk about UPA or whatever, including Nyaribo was initially an ODM, he came to power when the other governor left. He came to power as an ODM governor. Now he's where he is. So what is important in this particular aspect is that we tend to forget that, but this by-election is also supposed to help Kenya Kwanza push and zone ODM into Luo Nyanza alone, so that then it is easier for the president to bargain moving forward. But these are things these guys know. Of course, they wouldn't talk because it's not in the advantage for whoever they want to.
The impeachment will it have any bearing on this turnout?
I do not think, because the county assembly has tried to impeach the governor several times. They've always fallen short. Remember that Nyamira has had two county assemblies meetings separately for a while. They went to the Senate, and the Senate was actually surprised. They had a different speaker, a different clerk at some point. So this has been an ongoing battle down there. For the longest time, I think from April up to date, Nyamira County has not been collecting revenue, because I think the leaders went to the ground, some leaders went to the ground and told people not to pay revenue. So it's a county that actually should be put under some special consideration if it's possible. They are not doing well. There's too much problems. And that will have very little, because the only factor now that matters in the Kisii world today, politically, is the place where Matiang'i stands. So whatever happens is that there's going to be, the Matiang'i factor is what is there. By the way, effectively, if you look at data, including data that has actually been commissioned by Kenya Kwanza, is that effectively they have put Kisii vote into the opposition. At least in Western, it's put at a battleground, but the Kisii vote is effectively been put under the united opposition. That means that Matiang'i has done very good consolidation. And to the bigger picture is that then it also partly reduces ODM's influence. Like in Magarini, you know, you would be so surprised how Kenya Kwanza tacitly bungled that election. There had been, I think, conversations of ensuring that the guy that had petitioned, who was on UDA
yes.
that will step back, he'd be taken care of differently, and then ODM be allowed to run with it because in the spirit of broad-based government, the ODM be allowed to proceed with that until 2027. Somehow that was bungled. I do not think that anything in politics works without being commissioned. Again, you will see what is happening in Kasipul. We have not spoken about that, but you see, the ODM side has actually spoken out clearly that UDA, elements of UDA, have been working with the independent candidate, Aroko, for example. So why would UDA want to eat ODM's lunch, even in a canteen that is run by ODM like Kasipul? So definitely, we can try to play around this, but then of course the by-election is people testing so many things, including how do we take care of ODM? Kenya Kwanza is thinking about how do they manage ODM. On the other end, it's not just about them ensuring that how then do we take care of Natembea. He forgets here.
Who is not?
Lest he forgets. President William Ruto is only president because Bungoma voted differently. Let's never forget that. That if Bungoma had voted in 2022 the way it had voted in 2017, President William Ruto will not be president today. Of all the counties in Kenya, the only one county that flipped, moved from whatever side it was and came to a different side was Bungoma. So it is Bungoma that ensured that Kenya Kwanza becomes the government it is today. Otherwise, every other county ended up voting the way they voted in 2017. So, as much as Fwamba is here trying to say there is nothing big about Western,
in 2017 or 2020? Okay.
It's actually a very important place for William Ruto. It's almost a shrine for him.
It is.
Because the president has gone there so many times. Look at the people he gave. We were told that Mudavadi, for example, negotiated for 30% of all slots. As far as I know, he has only in our spaces, because I come from Matungu. Matungu is in Kakamega County. We have been told that Mudavadi initiated the appointment of one commission at IBC. That is what we have been told. Then I have seen the 3 letters he has given, the 2 letters, and then of course I think there is a VC. So if you want to ask, the first lots that we have seen Mudavadi speak about, is this the 30%? They also said that Western will get at least 1,000 kilometers of tarmac. They cannot show you 5 kilometers. They can't show you. So we can come here lyrically and do everything else, put in a lot of money. Like for example, a big question that you will ask, Western Kenya has never, since independence, have had a case where there is hunger to the point that people need relief food. But we have seen relief food in Malaba. We have seen beans, maize, that were destined for elsewhere, but then they were rerouted to that particular place. So the president cannot put in so much investment in Malaba just because he really doesn't care about what happens there. It's important. He really hopes to actually woo Western onto his side. I do not really want...
Can I have a moment also with Fwamba? Yes, please.
Malaba is talking forever. Not to...
When Sosiono was doing that, he didn't complain.
not to just overemphasize.
Did I talk forever, really?
Yes.
I did.
On what Mwalimu Sosiono said. You know, there's nothing that happens overnight, whether it's something that is too bad or too good. So if we are having a hunger index being high right now, it's not something that necessarily happened yesterday. It is said of a manager who left an organization 5 years when it was doing extremely well. But 5 years again down the line, it was doing extremely badly. So this means that if President Ruto had not taken this country towards the direction he has taken, maybe the situation would be worse, based on the things that happened in the past.
Allow me just to butt in.
Back to
UPA. I know. Allow me just to butt in, because now we have to just go back to the ground a bit. And you mentioned Magarini as well. And just get an update, because we know earlier also the United Opposition had raised concerns regarding rigging claims. That the vice chair of IBC, Fahima Abdullahi, was involved in some influence there. This is just allegations from the United Opposition. But we want just to get an update also on the security situation on the ground. And we have Ali Nuno, Regional Commander on Security of Election in Magarini. Let's just listen in to the statement. All right, yeah, I'm trying to just get my wires connected there on the ground. It seems monkeys are hanging on the line. As soon as we get the monkeys off the line, then we'll get that particular statement from Magarini. But as you can see, Kasipul is still live. Voters are coming out in force, of course. There, it was very contentious. But yeah, we have Ali Nu now who's on. But let me just off the mics, the monkeys.
Fully covered. We have striking parties in the event of any eventuality. Therefore, I want to assure the people of Magarini that their safety and security is well taken care of. They should come out in big numbers. I want to also assure the IEBC officials that your security and the security of your officials and the materials is also assured. Lastly, I want to give a notice to any person who wants to come from outside Magarini or within Magarini to cause issue of chaos, violence, defiance and disobedience of law. We'll take you head on. You will face the full force of the law. Therefore, please do not make an attempt. Do not dare. I'm with you. Now, ikifika pale ndio utakuwa utajua uzito ya Bwana Nuno ni kiasi gani.
Bwana Nuno, kumekuwa na wasiwasi wa wananchi, wanaona zile roadblock zimeongezeka katika barabara kuu, pengine uondoe wasiwasi kwa wakazi wa eneo la Pwani.
Pamoja na hilo, kulikuwa na tetesi za watu waliosafirishwa utawaita goods kutoka kaunti ya Mombasa kuja hapa, kitu ambacho umefuatilia.
That's a rumor that the issue of transportation of goods has not been there. We have made several roadblocks. Between here and Mombasa, we have about 4 or 5 roadblocks across the county. So the security is calm, everything is under control, and we don't expect that. In the event that it happens, we are there for you. Feel safe and secure. Nothing will happen. On the issue of
it was the roadblocks.
The roadblocks, we have put this as some strategies. We will not discuss issues or the strategies that we have put in place because of one reason or another. But putting the roadblock is a means of deterring, checking those vehicles coming with crude weapons, machetes, pangas and etc. We are set. We are set. Rest assured that this election ya Magarini itaisha mzuri. Thank you.
Security iko tight, sivyo? Umeona ile security? Naam.
Tueleze tangu asubuhi hali imekuwa vipi tangu jana tulipochana?
Hali shwari alivyosema mkuu wa polisi, sisi hatuna wasiwasi, security iko tight. Raia wa Magarini wajitokeze wapige kura. Kusiwe na vijisababu kwamba mliambiwa kuna goons, sijui goons. Msiwe na sababu. Endeni mpige kura. Kesho asubuhi inshallah tuwe na yule atakayekuwa amechaguliwa kwa kura yako. Sianze kusema tuliogopa, hivyo hiyo si mtu wetu. Kwa hivyo mimi sina wasiwasi, afisa wetu hapa hana wasiwasi, and we are raring to go. We are looking forward to a great day, a great evening where the counting will be seamless and peaceful, and a great declaration of the candidate who shall have won in accordance with Article 81 of the Constitution and in accordance with all the laws that tell us we must be fair, we must be credible, and we must be transparent.
Awali mgombea wa ODM alikuwa ameibua tetesi kwamba baadhi ya mawakala wake wamezuiliwa kupiga kura.
Mimi sijaona hilo. Wajua tatizo ni kwamba tetesi ni nyingi.
All right. The IBC Commissioner Oletulela there, and of course we had Ali Nuno, who is the regional commander there, just giving assurance about the security situation in Magarini. We come back to our studio where we continue with the conversation, and I think I'd cut it short for Amber, and you actually protesting that.
Yes, a whole hour talking, spewing a lot of propaganda here. So we are talking about Nyamira. You see, Nyamira, the governor of Nyamira was elected on UPA, which was a party in one of the coalitions. People at the presidential level voted for Raila Odinga and others voted for President William Ruto at that time. But after being elected, Nyamira has had a lot of problems. MCAs, one camp led by Gesesa Nyambega and another one led by other people. They have been conflicting all the time. So it culminating to impeachment is something so independent to something like Fred Matiang'i's candidature. I'm looking at The Nation today. It has an extensive article by Okech Kendo, university journalism lecturer. This is a veteran journalist. He is talking about Matiang'i's candidature. And I think the mistake Matiang'i did was joining Jubilee. At some point, they usually say that even a wrong clock is correct twice a day. And I identify with whether Gachagua advised him that he should have considered having his own party that he'll have built to become strong enough for him to run as a presidential candidate. But him having been joining Jubilee has made him look more of a project. Because any former leader or any former president coming to meddle into politics, like fronting a presidential candidate, usually points towards some vested interests, or what we usually refer to as unfinished business.
Yeah.
So as a presidential candidate under Jubilee, I'm seeing Matiang'i being projected as a project. We saw...
I'll have to butt in again and go back on the ground as well, because we can see David Ndakwe there, still in Malava. Earlier on, we saw Seth Panyako, so it's only fair that also we get his a shot clearly there. He's casting his vote. He's the UDA candidate, and this is where now the two, we are waiting to see where the pendulum will be swinging to. Is it UDA or, of course, DAP Kenya as well? There is making sure their index finger is also marked by the IBC official. This is from Malava constituency. Right.
Yes, going towards 2027, it will not be so likely that people will take Matiang'i as a serious presidential candidate. This is one mistake that Honorable Musalia Mudavadi made in 2012 when he embraced a political party that he had not created, UDF. Remember, even when he ended up being the presidential candidate, he had no control over the party. He did not even have a say on who gets nominated or who gets appointed where, as far as the party was concerned. So that's the dilemma in which Matiang'i is. And that gives an opportunity for Kisii to be open to the dynamics of 2022, where the race was between President William Ruto and Right Honorable Raila Odinga. And President William Ruto, having embraced ODM and partnered with it, is so likely that eventually the whole Kisii vote will get into the column of President William Ruto when it comes to 2027. Because of that arrangement. And for ODM, like I mentioned earlier, President William Ruto is someone who usually reaches out to the people. He has that advantage of having worked with Raila Odinga towards the last days of Honorable Raila Odinga. And in that arrangement, he was able to also reach out to supporters of ODM individually. He was able to work in ODM stronghold, to engage voters. And that is his mantra. That is his greatest strength. That apart from making coalitions and bringing together all these political parties, including ODM and others that will join the coalition eventually towards 2027, he'll also be able to look for his own votes. And that's why I am very sure that Western is in the president's column. Whatever is happening there is a sibling rivalry between people who are competing to be kingpins, because that seems to be a vacant position in Western. So there's space for President William Ruto.
But allow me to butt in again. I know you'll get this interruption today being a very significant day. We have David Ndakwe there from UDA speaking. Let's listen in.
Harrowing, but we've endured to this moment. For me, where I judge this exercise, I have no complaint with IPC. Security-wise, they have had some issues. Mostly, there has been a lot of abuses from my opponents. There's been a lot of fights from the side of my opponents. Even up to this time, I've restrained myself. They have done all sort of abuses to me. I've not even tried to reply back. They've done attacks to my colleagues, even MCS, members of parliament, but I've restrained them not to retaliate because this is an election that I'm winning. And for me, I have to show some exemplary leadership by getting humility first as a character, because I don't have to let the people bleed for me to lead. That is why I've restrained myself. I've been provoked a lot, but for me, I've been for peace all through. During my campaign, I've not even mentioned my competitor at any given time by name. I've not even tried to get into their territories with a lot of energy, because at the end of it, I have to respect them and respect also the way they are conducting themselves. But for me, I'm telling the people of Malava, let them exercise their democratic right, let them make their choice, and let them not be intimidated by anybody, let them not be coerced in any way. The blackmail that is going around from my opponents, those are sideshows. And I want to state categorical that if there is anything, I've been the peaceful candidate in this election. The government has tried to assure me of security and also to give peace to my people, but a lot of provocation has come from my opponents. So mine is to urge people to get out, that the only statement they can send is to elect a leader of their choice. And here I am. I'm confident I'm going to win this. That is why I'm calm, and I'm pushing it to the end. The results will have to give a statement to the opponents that they are not. Leadership is not about. Leadership is not about the character they have been trying to show every other time. And you cannot impose yourself to the people, because at the end of it, it is what the people look at you as a character. It is what the manifestos you have. It is what the agenda that you sell to the people that will propel you to the leadership. And here I am. I'm urging my people, stay calm. This election we are winning. Whichever way we are provoked, let us keep peace. Because at the end of it, we are a family, and we need Malaba to move forward when we are together.
Maybe your opponents are accusing the government machinery, and they are saying they are doing so to aid you forcefully get the seat. And secondly, from your experience, you, as an MCA who served 2 terms, during 2022, those who voted were slightly above the half mark. This is a by-election. From your projection, what do you think will be the numbers at the end of the day, given the prevailing circumstances and the atmosphere generally?
Personally, this is not my first time of engaging myself in an election. And I know the rules of the game. And as up to now, I'm saying I've not even caught any security threat, because I'm not playing hard on anybody. I'm just laying my facts right. I'm setting the agenda to the people. I'm trying to tell people what I can do for them. And the issue about the government maybe aiding me, the only thing that I can get me associated with the government is because I'm in UTA party, which is a ruling party. So I can't run away from saying that I'm close to the government. But in any way, opposition will cry foul, because it depends on how they are conducting themselves, because they have no evidence. Even if they have evidence, then they can adduce it to court, or they can explain it to the machinery of the state today and let it come out. But for me, if you can accuse me of anything,
it was okay. Yeah.
No concerns?
No, there wasn't concern. I didn't see anything that is peculiar. But I hope everything is going to be okay by the end of the day. Yeah.
What is your expectation today at the end of the exercise?
I expect to win, man. Yeah.
There has been some some tetesi, that there are issues of goons, but so far we've seen everything is peaceful. Are you comfortable with how the security situation?
The security is okay. I haven't seen any goon. Maybe the people they say goons are voters, so it's a propaganda maybe. Yeah.
All right.
Question to you.
We're just a few hours into the exercise. Are you satisfied with the level of turnout of people?
Yeah, it's still early. We expect people to come. This is a 3-stream polling station, so we expect people to cast their votes without any intimidation. And we are also ready to protect our people when it comes to those who want to intimidate them. Yeah, so we expect zero intimidation here. Yeah.
Would you speak to, I've seen the turnout in terms of the demography. It's older women, it's older men.
Yeah.
Would you speak to that? There are no Gen Zs here. What's happening?
No, Gen Zs will come. Their time is coming. We give an opportunity to the older people. They cast their votes, they go home, then other people come in. The turnout will be okay. Yeah.
And have you gotten any intel about possible voter bribery around this constituency?
I've heard it. Some are recorded. We will check others as we go through. We understand what people say, but I understand it's going on. So, for those who are doing it, why will you bribe people to vote for you if you're proper? Okay.
Elections are winners. What will be your reaction?
When what comes, bro, I will be the member of parliament, bro. I don't want to lose. Yeah, I don't want to discuss the negative angle. Yeah.
Your last message to the people of Kasipul?
To the people of Kasipul, they must maintain it peaceful and focus on what is building our people.
And possibly, we've seen in the general elections, candidates would have their own tallying centers. Maybe after here, where are you heading? Are you going to observe your own vote? Are you going to march?
I'll walk around a bit, see how it is, because I'm allowed by constitution to walk around. So I will go around a bit to see what happens. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
For Ramogi.
Oh, Joramogi, Jodalawa. Kura ogore maber. Tika keto mara sani. Okaneno gimoro mara.
Practicing our democratic rights to be everywhere, to solicit or to look for votes. So whichever way he takes it, maybe as my opponents, I can't state because what I know, I should look for votes everywhere, and I should campaign everywhere, and I should also reach all these people because I have to lead a constituency. And his people here, even Malala is here. He's just in the next polling station. He's with his team. I've restrained my people. Let them exercise their democratic right. They are checking on their voters. They are checking on what is taking place all around. Keep them peace. That is why my word here is very peaceful, because everybody is accessing, and I know they should be free to get everywhere to understand how the game of this voting is going about.
With the cases of reported violence and intimidation, what's your call to the security agencies?
The security agencies do their job. Yeah, I'm not the government. So it is upon the government to do what is right for them. But for me, where I sit, I've respected the government because I'm playing with the rules of the game. At no time have I had security threats, and at no time have I accused IBC on anything, because I'm abiding by the rules of the game. And so far I'm here, the gadgets are doing very well. I'm yet to get any incident from where I sit, and there's no any call from my people that maybe there's a problem somewhere for me to rush, and maybe as an alarm for me to get worried of. But what I know, this is an election that I'm winning. That is why I'm confident and I'm calm and I'm playing by the rules. And I don't want somebody to provoke me to play in this game. Violence is not with me. Mine, I've sold my face to the people. I've gone to them. They have told me their issues. I've told them what I can do for them. And I've told them I'll complete our late MP's projects before I embark on mine. And they have...
All right, that is David Dakwa. Indakwa, he's the UDA Malava candidate, and just speaking there earlier on, also we saw Philip Aroko, and where we want to join in and link up with Sidney Chazima, who is on the ground to just give us an update. We saw him casting his vote and also making some statements there, but let's just get a feel and flavor as well on the current state of play. Sidney, over to you. And we know, of course, Kasipul has been one of a very contentious constituency. We had also the opposition leaders there. Should I say the intrigues that is within ODM playing out in Kasipul, where we had the Member of Parliament, Homa Bay Town, Peter Kaluma, raising hesitation regarding the members of ODM campaigning for the independent candidate there, Philip Aroko, and yet they are in a broad-based government. So this political play-out also bearing out today. We shall see how now the needle really turns, whether on the UDA side or also on in the independent candidacy of Philip Aroko, and why names like Okoth Obado, who is a member of the governor of Migori, and also we had Evans Kidero as well campaigning for Philip Aroko, yet they are staunch members of, should I say, we know some of them to be in ODM, and we want to get a current state of play. Sidney, if he's on right now, we want just to join him, and there he is joining us from that region. Could you kindly just give us an update of what is happening? Good morning.
Well, thank you, Dibal. I'm Sidney Chazima of TV47, and I'm right here in Kasipul at Kachieng Primary School, where independent candidate Philip Aroko has just cast his vote. We were just speaking to him earlier. He was telling us how the situation is and how things are running, and he has spoken to the allegations of voter bribery, a few of them, and he's going to handle them. He's saying that he's upbeat that he's going to emerge victorious in this by-election. So from right here, I'll just cut it short and tell you that we are heading to Agorosare Primary School, where we are expecting Boyd Were of ODM to be casting his vote right there. So back to you in studio, Dibal. That was a brief update from me right here. So as we head quickly to Agorosare Primary School, where we shall give you another update. Back to you, Dibal.
Thanks indeed, Sidney. We'll be putting tails on you as well, just following you up at Gorosare to find out how also that will really pan out. And we remember where will be capturing or going for this particular seat instead of his dad, who was actually the incumbent in that particular seat. So that's we are yet to expect and see if the sympathy vote as well will really play out in that particular region. But we continue with the conversation, and I think I was with Famba, yes, cutting you short, but you expect the nature of a show today, these interruptions. The premium is on the ground, not really in the studio. Yes, so that's where the attention is. Yes?
Maliba talked for almost 1 hour and is trying to interrupt me. Now, we are looking at the speech made by the UDA candidate of Malava, and it sounds quite interesting. I think all candidates should be encouraged to have that kind of composure and that kind of message to the people, so that the elections that we have are not always about bloodshed, people fighting, killing each other for no absolute reason. People should compete as per our democratic foundations, and whoever wins, we celebrate, and whoever loses waits for another time to compete. Mm-hmm. That's a very good speech that every politician should embrace, and it is very encouraging. Going to Kasipul, I've noticed something quite interesting, that previously people who were on ODM tickets and were mainly in ODM strongholds enjoyed the privilege of being held their hands by the late Honorable Raila Odinga, and they'll win so easily. But this time round, it seems there's some sort of political space that is expanded, that now people can pay attention and listen to what somebody is saying before they decided to vote. Even people have gathered courage to go and campaign for a candidate who is not an ODM person. That is a progressive politics as far as I'm concerned. And that should be encouraged. I know that going forward, that is going to reflect a lot in the rest of the country, that people will compete fairly. At some point, I've seen the media has also been accused of the same kind of bias, whereby you'll talk of a two-horse race and rule out other candidates absolutely, so that they don't even have a position to express themselves. Sometimes you'll get some of these people running on small parties or independent parties being very credible if you get to the content or the real value of their representation credentials. But unfortunately, this thing came up in 2007 when Honorable Raila Odinga declared that it's a two-horse race between him and President Kibaki at that time. So that has become the kind of culture that stifles democracy. So me, I want, going forward, to be advocates of advanced democracy so that we keep on representing every candidate equally as required by the law. So this is very encouraging. Democracy is expanding and we are happy.
All right.
Just allow me to actually chip in quickly. Number one, he's been very
can you go to Sosion? I think it would be very unfair.
He's actually busy. Just allow me to actually respond. He's been busy on phone, so kindly, so that I don't lose my train of thought.
Not busy.
He's got his own portal where he's actually...
I'm looking at the numbers, exit numbers.
my train of thought.
So
I know he was reading.
Kindly. Let's just go sequential so that I'm not really accused of being biased as well.
We've listened to the statements of those leaders. And Dak was spoken very well as a leader. And, you know, the words that come out of our mouths as leaders define the ecosystem in which we operate. We don't need violence in these elections. And I saw somebody beaten absolutely and injured in Malava, a UDA member. The truth is, there is high-level tension in some of these areas of elections. That's a fact. And that explains why the Ministry of Interior has ensured that security is tight in all the polling stations across the country so that we don't lose life and we have orderly elections that are peaceful. But most of it will be guided by the conduct of elected leaders. It took IBC to take stern action against the two candidates in Kasibul Kaponda, and both of them were fined 1 million, not for nothing, but because of the level of violence that was quite palpable in Kasibul Kaponda. I don't think violence is an element in democracy. As a country, we've really struggled to get out of violent-related incidences during elections. It's not a healthy thing. We are here engaged in a discussion. We are not fighting. We are differing. But we are talking. The only thing we can use as a function of advancing democracy is through debates. And we close it there. And people go exercise their sovereign right at the ballot. So I look at the statements from those leaders, particularly Ndakwa himself, really portraying that demeanor of restraint but providing sober leadership so that there is peace. It is very easy to regiment your supporters to war, while at the same time, it is the best thing to regiment your supporters to peace based on your demeanor. Kenyan democracy, as has been stated, we've come a long way. And I've always said, Kenya is a superpower democracy in the continent and across the world. There are many jurisdictions in Europe and in the global north who cannot even do 50% of the democracy we practice in Kenya. Some pundits argue we do politics throughout 5 years. To me, it's a healthy thing. If people can engage in conversation in politics rather than fighting, it's a good thing. And this is a country of free speech. But free speech does not mean incitement to violence. We've seen some some political actors making provocative statements that can make people really believe that something has gone wrong. Somebody wants to steal elections. You cannot steal elections in that ecosystem of voting in a polling station. It is not possible, where you must be identified biometrically. If you are not on the biometrics, your picture can be used. And this is what Kriegler proposed, that we must digitize our electoral process as much as possible. And in fact, the new commissioners have nothing to do because they're finding an already working infrastructure in place. So to me, away from many other things, but qualitatively, because you are looking at qualitative issues, the leadership in this election counts for those candidates who are contesting. Asiyekubali kushindwa, siye mshindani. There will be winners, regardless of the political parties. There will be a winner that will be announced by IEBC, regardless of the political parties. Once the winners are announced, that verdict of the people should be respected. We must always respect the verdict of the people and move on to other things. Those who would want to begin now building the agenda for 2027 will be free to do so immediately after this election and will be free to plan for 2027. Nobody is going to stop anybody. We've seen some political activities in our neighborhood where even internet is switched off, opponents are arrested and locked in jail. Those are not the democratic practices. I think as Kenya, we've come out of that. We are a good country. Politically, in terms of Vision 2030, the political pillar has been well implemented by Kenya and any other president who came after Kibaki, because Vision 2030 was a development master plan designed by Kibaki, and it was supported by Kenya Constitution 2010 because it protected many rights, the right to housing, the right to health, the right to free speech, the right to political rights, all those things. So the pillar, on the political pillar, Kenya we have achieved. We are an admirable nation among nations in terms of our democratic practices and issue-based politics. So that one in the box, we give ourselves a tick in the Vision 2030 Development Master Plan. And if I can still talk about, because people don't know, they think Vision 2030 is on paper, that is in the forest. Vision 2030 are continuous activities within us. And when Uhuru developed his manifesto in 2013 and 2017, because after 2017, there were the big four agenda: manufacturing, agriculture, health, and infrastructure. That was well in line with Vision 2030. It's aligned to Vision 2030 and is operating on medium-term financial framework. When President William Ruto coined the 5 pillars, agriculture, ICT, MSME, housing, and health, it is actually well within Vision 2030. The Vision 2030, the social pillar, can only be achieved if universal health coverage is rolled out. Has the President rolled it out? Yes. Have we fulfilled Vision 2030? Yes. Housing, it has been rolled out. It's a major social program. Has President Ruto rolled it out? Is it within Vision 2030? Yes. Education, has financing been enhanced towards education, employment of more teachers? That's a social pillar. That has been done. So to me, without discussing so much, no government and no president can avoid a development master plan. And this one is having impact with the people on the grassroots. And when the president talks of 2055 vision, taking the country to the first world, it is not about roads, it's not about electricity, I've talked about that, and it is not about many things, but it is about getting every Kenyan out of the poverty bracket all over the country. And that's why when you look at the leadership style of the president, is that it's a broad-based arrangement that includes every region. When he was elected, he did not neglect the Nyanza belt. That did not vote for him. He personally went and mobilized development in that region. And we can quantify the development programs that are going on in that particular belt and everywhere. The other week he was in Ukambani on 3-day elaborate visits to the 3 different counties, and he has a development charter for the 3 counties, including a leaders meeting. So if we want to lift Kenya into the first world, develop every region. And that is the principle of equity the president has been driving. So I think beyond this election...
Allow me just to butt in a bit, because we can see some skirmishes happening there in Barren North. I don't know what is really happening. We just want to listen in. I can see Kirogo there being chased away by the DP party leader. I don't know what is the situation, right? But we'll put tails. Could we get some audio there so that we can get a sense of what is happening, if we could?
Mike, kuna mtu anafukuzwa, sijui amefanya nini. Apigwe picha. Wamwende? Yudurane. Mike. Niingizie hizi lefu.
Of the people of Bere without any influence from outsiders or from even the IEBC or even the locals. We need the voice of the people of Bere to be heard without being compromised or people being intimidated. What's the problem? Ametoka Nyeri. The problem is we have people who are wearing party colors and they are bribing people so that they can divert the will of the people. People of Bere, there's the time to rescue your people.
The gentleman who was
MCA from Nyeri. Chinga MCA from Nyeri. Na anakuja kupiga mheshimiwa JB. Anawamtumia mpaka nguni. Anakuja kumchapa na mheshimiwa amekuja kuona watu wake kama wanapiga kura vizuri.
Sawa, asante.
Why have you kicked him out? What we have told him, you cannot come into the polling area when you are donning party colors. Yes. If he is an authorized agent, or even indeed is whatever kind of person, even observer, he must come wearing other kind of clothes, not coming wearing donning party colors.
But was
I mean you can see I'm not wearing DP colors. Yes, but this is a law.
But sir, was it up to you to kick him out, or was it supposed to
be
left to the IEBC?
He didn't kick him out. We did.
We have just told him to get out. Yes.
Did you raise the matter to IEBC?
Yeah.
Yes, but the guy is there. The guy is just meek. They are doing nothing. The presiding officer is behaving like a cow.
The law is very clear. You should not be party colors.
Party leader, you also don't have a badge. Are you also authorized to be here?
I'm a party leader. I'm the party leader. Yes. It's not even a matter of conjunction.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You know I'm the.
It is enough.
Have you seen any other similar situation or any other concerning situations?
Other stations which are vested are okay. We have not seen this kind of thing.
Thank you.
Yes.
Do you know the name of the member that you've chased out?
Kiruga.
MCA.
Kiruga, I know him. Since a boy, there are those guys I see, you always see them at State House waiting for handouts from William Ruto.
Well, thank you.
Ni kijana ni mtu ya kupewa chai hii hawa, namjua sana. Ni kijana toka Nyeri.
Naam, bila shaka huyo ni waziri wa kitambo na ambaye pia ni party leader wa chama cha DP ambaye bila shaka amefika hapa katika kituo hichi cha Chicago Town Social Hall na kuwaondoa baadhi ya wale ambao ni maafisa wa chama cha UDA na ambao bila shaka wamekuwa wamekita kambi katika kituo hichi wakiwa na mavazi ya chama rasmi cha UDA, na hapo basi ndipo wakakwazika na ikabidi waweze kuwaondoa moja kwa moja kutoka katika kituo hichi, na basi pakawa na mtafaruku wa aina fulani, na ndipo walikuwa wanahudumia ama wanazungumza na waandishi wa habari hapa kutujuza ni yepi ambayo wamefanya kusheheni. Kwa hiyo kwa sasa, kwa mujibu wa IEBC na walivyozungumza hapo jana katika shughuli za maandalizi, wakisema kwamba hapata ruhusiwa mtu yeyote wa chama kuvaa nguo zozote na ambazo zitakuwa zinaashiria kwamba anaunga mkono chama fulani au chama kipi. Kwa hiyo wakaweza kuondolewa na baadhi yao wakaweza kuondolewa kwa fujo. Kwa hiyo hadi kufikia sasa tunasubiria tuone kama bila shaka maafisa wa IEBC watafanya kuingilia kati na kuweka usalama wa kutosha. Japo maafisa hao wa UDA wamekuwa hapa kwa muda mrefu, kwa muda wa takriban saa 2 tangia sisi tuweze kufika hapa, vile vile tumewapata hapa, japo IEBC haijafanya kuchukua hatua yoyote hadi wakati ambapo kinara wa chama cha DP Muturi Justin alipowasili, ndipo basi akaweza kuzungumzia hili na wakaweza kuondolewa, japo yeye amefika hapa kama kinara wa chama, japo sio muangalizi tu, ni kinara wa chama cha DP, kisha akaweza kuzungumzia kuleta madai hayo na wale vijana wakaweza kuondolewa hapa kwa fujo na kuondoka. Kwa hiyo tuko hapa na tunafuatilia moja kwa moja yale yote ambayo yatafanya kutukia. Manake muda si mrefu sana, takriban dakika 10 hizi zijazo, leo wa Modhende yule ambaye ni mwaniaji wa chama ama kwa tiketi ya UDA atakuwa nawasili hapa pamoja na waziri wa masuala ya umma, nazungumzia kuhusu Geoffrey Ruku, watawasili hapa na leo wa Modhende aweza kupiga kura zake kura yake katika kituo hichi cha Chicago Social Hall. Na regesha usukani kwa studio kutoka hapa eneo hili la Chicago.
Yeah, Mike, thank you very much. And of course, just giving us an indication of what is happening on the ground so far. It seems to be an election offense there in Chicago Social Hall, and we saw the DP leader there, Justin Muturi, also manhandling one of the person that really came in there or donning a party color that you were not expected to actually be going to the polling stations with any paraphernalia that is a representation of any party, as it were. That is an election offense, and then they were taking special umbrage with it, and that's why he was being manhandled and of course told off from that particular vicinity. And we just want to look deeply into this, and people asking questions as well. Him as a party leader, he'd cast his vote. What was he doing there? Maybe we could actually chime in on that.
It was my take number one.
Could you speak directly to what is happening?
I haven't spoken to Ndakwa's statement and this, so allow me to start with this.
Please do.
It's much more recent to start with it.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So number one, all of us, whether you are a candidate or you want to be part and parcel of the election day, you must actually have accreditation to get into the polling rooms, or rather the polling stations or center. There are polling centers, or rather polling stations, which are inside. Long time ago, we used to call them streams, but they are polling stations. And then now there is the polling center. That is, if it's a school or whatever. So the only thing that I have actually picked out there that is problematic is that the Chinga MCA was putting on yellow. And he is known, he's an MCA, he's on UDA, he's actually at the UDA neck. So him being there automatically was canvassing. Of course, technically there are 72 colors, even though scientifically there could be millions and millions of colors.
Adorning the UDA
So
color.
Putting on bright yellow UDA color, he is serving MCA that is known, a public officer to that, or rather a public person to that effect. Clearly, that was in violation to the Electoral Code of Conduct. But that speaks to one thing that I saw initially and I wasn't able to comment on when Dr. Lutalala was the last...
when he's in Magarini.
Yes, when he spoke in Magarini, there were issues that were raised. And again, like the chairman, he went straight into factly denying, rather than giving room even for administrative action or review. And I think that the communication department at IEBC has got a serious work. I think the commissioners, if I've picked anything from the chairperson, Ethicon, and then what I've seen Dr. Lutalala do, is that there is need for communication training for the new commissioners. They are not yet there. And somebody should tell the commissioners one thing, that it's not even the systems and processes. It is these careless or unthought statements that will actually cause problems. Because once IEBC seems not to see any problem, and then now people are pointing out. People speak about bribery and treatment of voters. I have not seen that. It is not there. You treat that way, you come out as a response. That is the chair. People are complaining about drama down there in Magarini. Again, a commissioner goes out, and instead of saying that we are looking into that, there is a way you respond to that. IEBC commissioners need serious communication training. Because if we have picked two, they are going to say a very careless statement that comes. Lutalala must forget that he is a social commentator or a political commentator that he's done before. He should also forget that he's been a political actor in his other life, and remember that he is a member, the apex member of an EMB, an elections management body. That is very, very important. Otherwise, when you see the Chinga MCA in a UDA branding, and you don't see a problem with that, and then they are denying everything, they are giving people the perception that either IEBC is not in control of this process or it is in bed with the other side. Now, allow me to speak about Ndakwa. I saw my two colleagues here showering him with praises. I didn't speak about that. Kindly allow me to actually, just in a few lines.
Before you go to, because I think it will really take off from that particular scenario we were talking about, so that they can actually chime in, then you come to Dakwa. Yeah,
no, they will actually rein me out. I know what they've done in the past. That's how, every time you have allowed them to come in, they kill the whole thing. On Dakwa, they praise him for being composed, for all those good things they have said. But I want to ask you this. Do not respond to me, but I'll ask you this and pose this question to you, Dibal. Why will you not be composed when you have got the strength of the state behind you? Why will you not be composed and calm when some other people are doing the fighting for you? Why will you not be composed when you have got the whole government machinery in your favor? In fact, I have just seen Ndakwa for the first time. I had not seen him before. I actually initially even thought that it was Farouk running against Seth. So at least you guys have given him an opportunity to come out. But he is calm and collected because some other people are doing battles for him. He is calm and collected because he is speaking from a place of privilege. When we saw Seth Panyako, and you can actually do a comparison and split it up. See Seth Panyako breaking down and crying, weeping. Your people captured that. He actually broke down and started weeping. And you see the UDA candidate looking calm, unscathed, and fought. When you are the instigator of chaos, you don't feel what is happening on the other side. So a lot of the things that the opposition is actually crying about are being done in Dakwa's name.
But Dakwa said himself that this is embodiment of, the attributes of a leader.
But you see, here, his opponents are crying unless we want to act that we are not seeing what is happening to his opponents. So Ndakwa is speaking from a place of privilege. He's coming from a place where he's protected and other people are doing, a bigger force is doing battle for him. So you cannot then say that a child of privilege, a man who owns a bicycle has got much more voice than a man who drives his father's Mercedes-Benz. So here, as much as the others are weeping, we cannot then now say that Ndakwa's composure is out of leadership. It's not. It's the environment that has been created for him to have it easy. It's not the same with the other people that are running around with goons chasing after them. It's not one and the same. So let us not really give him a lot of tribute when we know too well that he's a child of privilege in this particular race.
Right, just spoiler light, we can see also pictures from Mbombuni there, ward. and we have the CS of Labor and Protection. This is Alfred Mutua. I think they're donning the same attire there with almost, I could see. Is that Harrison Wambua, who is also casting a vote and vying for that particular seat as well, under the Maendeleo Chap ticket. So any moment from now, we shall be just getting some, of course, their sentiments and remarks coming from Mbomboni. So as we put our ducks in a row and wait for that, you can continue.
Yeah, I think I need to dispel his allegations that somebody is enjoying state privileges. Let me state here, and I think all Kenyans should know, the state in Kenya will never, ever control any electoral process whatsoever. It will never. Those who are still living in illusions that the state is controlling the electoral process, I think are dreamers. We should wake up to the reality. The power of the people is at play in the polling station, and the numbers will count. We saw the narrative of the deep state in 2022.
Allow me to butt in. Let's just listen in. I think he's getting mic'd up there.
And we saw the narrative.
Allow me to butt in. Wilson, we want to go straight to Mumuni and hear the candidate there speaking of Maendeleo Chap. Harrison Wambua.
Nimeona hakuna hitilafu zozote, mitambo yote ya IEBC inafanya vizuri, foleni zinatembea vizuri na watu wameweka amani. Kwa wale hawajafika, na waomba wakuje wapige kura zao na wapige kwa amani, wapige watoke waende nyumbani wangojee matokeo. Kwa timu ya IEBC naona wamejiandaa vizuri kwa sababu kila kitu inaenda kwa njia inayofaa. Kutoka hapa sisi tutatembea, tuangalie wananchi wengine kama wamepiga kura, tuwahimize wafanye hii jukumu, sababu ni jukumu lao la civic right, kutembea na kupiga kura, kuchagua viongozi wanaotaka. Mimi nawatakia laheri na tungojee jioni tutangaziwe mshindi wa leo mwenye atakuwa MCA wa Mbomboni North. Asante.
Kabla pengine kwa waziri, let me just remind them you go. Okay? So they want us to go. Okay, quickly. Tumefurahi sana kuona vile kura zinapigwa hapa Machakos County. Sisi ni watu wa amani hapa Mbomboni. Wananchi tunawahimiza mkuje mpige kura kwa amani. Askari weko hapa, polisi, security iko tight vizuri. Hakuna wasiwasi wowote. Kuna watu kadhaa wamejaribu kupeana pesa leo asubuhi. Kuna hata waheshimiwa wengine wanaofanya kazi kwa serikali ya Wiper hapa ya Governor Wavina Ndeti, na hao wananchi wameweza kuwakamata. Hata nimesikia kwamba kuna jamaa mmoja wa serikali ya hapa ya Machakos ametolewa nguo, ni wananchi akipeana pesa, kwa sababu wananchi wamechoka. Wananchi wanataka kura za amani na kura bila ukora. Kwa hivyo tunahimiza wananchi waendelee kupiga kura na wajitokeze kwa wingi, na mambo iko sawa kabisa na mbele iko sawa. Kwa kikambani kwa sekanati tongea ene ndimu vya munono mukietene na kwe muo na andu monde mekuna laini nesa na melukuma metuke na paili na wote. Kwa alame musi umaimu kune haki yenu mukune kula kwa wingi ni kana uni.
All right, that is the Cabinet Secretary, Labor and Social Protection, Alfred Mutua, speaking, and this is in Mbomboni Award. Of course, he's also the chair of Maendeleo Chap. We've seen the candidate casting his vote there, and we shall also be putting a tails on that as well to see how it really pans out. We want now to just get to the winding tip with our panelists, as they comment also on what is happening in that particular ward and a raft of other issues. I think I'd interrupted you.
You interrupted me.
And of course,
and in just a nutshell,
make it very pithy and short, because we need to wind up.
In just a nutshell, because we were talking about Mbere, in just a nutshell, the state has no control in the electoral process, and no candidate is advantaged by the state. That's a fact. That is where we are as Kenya at the moment. And this is a good thing going into the future in terms of our electoral process. When we've seen what has happened at Mbere, we've seen actions of the party leader Justin Muturi grabbing an opponent. I don't think we need to get to that level of engaging in unnecessary tension. And this is just but at the tallying center, because there's no voting that is going on, indeed, at the tallying center. And there is need to maintain a lot of peace. Justin Muturi is not only a former minister, not only a former attorney general, he is a former speaker of the National Assembly. And you know, it would not be right to go running around and grabbing some poor young fellows who are curious in observing the electoral process. We don't need to get to that level. That points to some tension because, of course, you know, that is the home ground of Justin Muturi, and maybe sensing defeat. There is tension among those who are predicting that they might lose. We have seen Mumbuni, I think Mumbuni ward, there's a very peaceful electoral process, and the broad-based political party in Mumbuni is Maendeleo Chap Chap. We've seen the party leader of Maendeleo Chap Chap, and I can tell you in short, Dibal, the broad-based team is doing very well across the country.
Thank you.
If it is ODM, it's in the areas. If it is UDA in the territorial zones, they're doing well. If it is Maendeleo Chap Chap, and I am sure my brother here and others can now reckon about the real quantitative data which they are trying to run away from. And when results are called, at the end of the day, they should not give.
Thank you.
They should not blame the state for influencing. Right. The power lies with the voters.
Yeah, I can see some action there also in Kasipul, where Honorable Kaluma and Ivo Barre are being chased from the polling station there. So we've known that Kasipul has also been a very contentious area. Recently, we saw also RBC just, fining candidates their 1 million shillings because of electoral offenses. And see, these are the scenes. You can see it right there. Also, a camera person is trying to get us a steady, capturing of the scene there. That's why it's a bit shaky. So he's running around there trying to follow and find out. Let's just listen in and hear what is happening on the ground, briefly.
Let me just collect it in a few. Unaweza sauti. Punguza filter bro, punguza filter.
You can see, well, we got the pictures back there, so expect a lot of that as well because we're trying to follow up and see if we can get also a comment on what is happening on the ground. This is Kasipul, skirmishes now erupting, and our journalists are trying to angle, of course, a proper shot there to get a good view of what is happening. But you know what has been happening in Kasipul, very contentious election it has been so far. Or should I say panning out on the campaigning so far. This is the election that is happening right now. Philip Aroko, an independent candidate, and we do have also Boyd Were, who is also gagging for that particular seat to just sit instead of his father. We have Kaluma now on. Let's just listen to what he has to say.
Where I am the observer for the ODM candidate. And you can see I'm duly designated. I've been attacked by Aroko with a team of goons. They have gone with a gun for my bodyguard. And you can see they have stoned me. And he's the one who was telling them to hit me when I'm with them. And I'm here to wait for our ODM candidate who is on the way to vote. That is what we are waiting for. He's arriving here in 5 minutes. This is not acceptable. I want to tell our people to still come out and vote. Don't worry about what is happening. Come out and vote. These people want to cause violence so that they scare people from voting, because they know we have won already. So come out and vote. You see, they have attacked me, but I'm still here. There is no issue. Come out and vote. As we encouraged our people, please don't react even if you are attacked. Just the way you have not reacted even under attack. Let us not react.
Some of them are accusing you of bribing voters. Is that the case?
But I've been with you here the whole day. I'm an observer. Check me if I have even a coin. Those are the gimmicks they usually use to attack you. But this is an Aroko scheme, and let me tell him that the day is going to end well. And the thuggery they are bringing in Kasipul must end. That is why we want to pay back in terms of peace. Don't fight back. If I wanted to fight them back, there would be death here. And that is what they want. They want to discourage people from coming to vote. That there is fracas.
Peter Kaluma there, the Member of Parliament, Homa Bay Town, soaked in blood. Just also speaking of what is happening right now, that he has been hit by goons. He's actually decrying the fact that we have thuggery and goonism that is playing out in that particular constituency right now. And just speaking after he has been chased there by goons, it indicates how also high tense that particular constituency is right now. And given also the history of Kasipul, this is bound to really happen, just as I've earlier indicated. And I just wanted to get to maybe your closing remarks with the latest happening. Arnold and also Fwamba and Wilson Susion. Let's just get some 30, closing remarks, 30 seconds. We begin with you, Wilson, and then speak to
I think the
Kasipul issue as well.
We've seen traces of violence, and not just violence, serious violence. And this is where the Ministry of Interior was serious. And I believe with such data, the security apparatus should be tightened to secure all the polling stations in the country. We cannot regress to such level of lawlessness and violence and possible killing or hurting observers, voters, and anybody participating in this election. It is not the right thing, I think. But I believe by the end of the day, the vote will count, and the Republic of Kenya will emerge as a hero among nations in terms of democracy.
Thank you.
I still repeat that Kenya is a superpower democracy and will be vindicated through this process. Whoever is elected, regardless of any party, is a leader of the Republic of Kenya.
Thank you.
Asiyekubali kushindwa si mshindane. Let's prepare to congratulate those who get elected, and we pivot back to developing our motherland.
Thank you.
Kenya must leap to the first world by 2055.
Thank you, Wilson Susion.
And it is more urgent than anything else.
Fantastic. Thank you. Arnold Maliba?
Quickly, I just need to say this, that whatever the disagreement, we should never see photos like this. Images of bleeding people, whether they are leaders or not, that is not acceptable. As in, the Swahili say, hoja haipigwi fimbo, hoja inapigwa na hoja nyingine. It's totally not acceptable to see people bleeding, people running, the images we've seen since last night, and what we continue to actually see and witness. That is not democracy, that is crime. We cannot justify this, we cannot find words for it. It's not acceptable. The police should do their work. IEBC should actually completely also take control of this particular process. But generally, for everybody that is going out to vote today in the 22 places where elections are going on, kindly, just exercise peace, because there's tomorrow. And after you've done this, there are people who still have got long cases in court from actions they did in 2017, in 2022, even in 2020, or rather in 2013.
Yes.
But I needed to actually finalize and say this. That the term broad-based politics, broad-based government, was first used in this region in 1984-85 when Museveni was coming to power by way of arms. He is the one who coined the term broad-based government. And it is so sad that we've actually domesticated it to a way that it looks like it is progressive. It's not. At the point when Museveni used the word broad-based government and broad-based politics in Uganda, he'd just come to power by way of arms, and they had their own problems. up to now, when we continue to actually push this broad-based approach to politics, it gives the feeling like kind of we are coming out of a war scenario, which is not the truth. Kenya is actually known for robust and dynamic democracy. We should actually speak to each other and exchange ideas without fighting and giving the impression that we are at war.
Thank you.
He said that the government and the state is not sponsoring any candidate and is not controlling it.
30 seconds are over.
When you are given state relief food as part and parcel of your campaign merchandise, that is the state supporting you. When the people who are working for you are not disarmed.
Thank you, Maliba. Thank you. Your 30 seconds are over.
That is state controlling and supporting you.
Thank you, thank you. Let's go to Fwamba.
When we started, we said that this is a litmus test for the IBC as far as 2027 is concerned. And I'll urge IBC, based on the kind of things we are seeing, IBC to take firm decisions and use legally backed sanctions against anyone who is causing election offenses as per the Election Offences Act of 2016. Something else I'd like to respond to Arnold Maliba. He conveniently omitted the part of JB Muturi appearing in a polling station in Mbeere North. He conveniently focused on the issue of Kiruga Thuku putting on a UDA jacket and ignored the way JB Muturi was conducting himself around an election center. There's no one who is above the law.
How was he conducting himself?
He had goons. He had goons who were harassing people.
I have not
He's trying to intimidate voters.
He was not
He's trying to intimidate voters.
We're not starting a debate now.
They were around him and they were harassing.
All right.
I'll mute your mics. Are they trying to stage manage?
He is even a voter.
Thank you so much.
He's a voter in that.
Okay. As a voter, he's supposed to vote and go home.
No, that's not how it works. He's an agent.
An agent. You have evidence that he is. Does he have a badge?
I'll mute your mics.
There's no badge that I showed.
Arnold, please.
There's no badge.
All right. We're winding up.
So
those are your
there
closing
and
remarks?
flouting the rules.
Thank you.
Also be held responsible.
Right. Well, it seems like you're the people who are voting. You should be.
He's so passionate.
All right, all right.
About anything on the other side.
Thank you. All right, we need. We need to wind up. Thank you. Now you're going on a blow there. Thank you. Fwamba NC, Fwamba, thank you. Political commentator, we really do appreciate you coming to this morning as well. I want to thank you as well, Arnold Maliba, the party leader, Progress Plus Alliance. Thank you for coming through. Wilson Sosion, veterinary educationist and educator and unionist, thank you for coming through as well. We world-class unionist.
The future
thank you, we appreciate it. Yes, I want to hand over now to, of course, Anne Odida to continue pace with the conversation as well. And yes, what a discussion, what a topic, what pictures. I mean, what we are seeing currently should not be happening, that we have one member of parliament bleeding copiously because of these by-elections.
I can't come here. Some of them.
So I hope the situation has been escalated. Okay. Yeah, so we are relying on you to help us deliver a clean vote.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
I had a long time. The law is that you should not wear party colors here. So we are going to follow that up, just find out. I just arrived in, and I was keen to find out why there was a crowd there. And Weshimiwa has just briefed me on what's happening. So we are going to follow this up to find out.
My question is not about you in particular as a commissioner.
No.
I know it is trained officers, because you cannot be in all the.
Yeah, that is correct.
But you have presiding officers.
That is correct.
Who did not take action.
Yes, and that is what I'm trying to say. Is I'm going to find out what exactly happened with them so that we can be able to know what to do. They have been properly trained, they're expected to do the right thing, and I've been in a number of polling stations and polling centers this morning, And we have not encountered this kind of thing. So
the action that is expected to be
no. I cannot say that in advance because we ourselves have to understand what exactly happened. I think you are trying to you are trying to preempt something.
But are you agreeing with the DP party that it was wrong for anyone
It is
to come
not a
in
question
yellow?
of no. It is not a question of DP party. It is not a question of DP party. I take it that Mheshimiwa has reported this as a Kenyan, not as DP. If it is wrong, it is wrong. If it is right, it is right. I don't think it is a DP issue. So thank you very much. So JB Muturi, we are relying on you to help us deliver this.
All right, that is IEBC Commissioner Francis Edwall addressing the situation in Mbeere North. As we've seen, or if you're just joining us on the show this morning, we've witnessed some skirmishes in Mbeere North where JB Muturi has kicked out some leaders there, including Nyeri MCA Kiruga Thuku, for donning party clothes, which is considered as an election offense. And aside from Mbeere North, we've also seen some skirmishes in Kasipul. As early as 9:40 a.m., Peter Kaluma was attacked in that area, and he alleged the attack, as we've just seen and listened to him earlier. And he alleged that the attack from one of the candidates vying for the Member of Parliamentary seat in Kasipul. And of course, before we close this first segment of the special coverage on the by-election, the Morning Cafe segment, we just want to do a brief recap. But before that, we are crossing over to Ugunja, Siaya County, where our EBC Vice Chairperson was addressing the media earlier on. Let's listen in.
Arafat Abdallah, the Vice Chair IBC, na leo nikiwa hapa sehemu ya Ugunja constituency. Nina furaha kuwaambia Wakenya ya kwamba voting imeanza vizuri na wananchi wa Unguja wako na amani. Na nikiwa hapa Sirori Primary School, wananchi wamejitokeza kwa wingi kama mtakavyoonyeshwa baadaye, wamekaa kwenye line kwa amani na wanapiga kura. Vile vile tumeweza kupitia voting polling stations zingine, na pia ningeomba nitoe wito kwa specific watu wa Ugunja Primary. Wale watu wa Ugunja Primary mpaka sasa naona voter turnout iko chini kidogo, lakini nataka niwaambie ya kwamba kama tumehakikisha maandalizi yako sawa na usalama uko sawa, na tuko na maofisa wawili kwa kila kituo na amani iko sawa. Kwa hivyo specifically watu wa Ugunja Primary mpaka sasa naona ni takriban watu kidogo tu wamejitokezea, lakini naomba ya kwamba mutoke. Na pia ningependa kuwaita especially the youth, wale ambao ni registered voters, wakuje wapige kura, na wananchi wote wa Kenya. Tumeandalia hili zoezi kuhakikisha ya kwamba uchaguzi utaendelea. Kwa hivyo upande wetu sisi tuna furaha ya kwamba kuona kila kitu iko sawa, na tunawaomba kama tume ya kwamba tuendeleze kudumisha amani na mkuje nje kwa wingi kupiga kura siku hii ya leo.
Labda kutokuwepo kwa idadi kubwa ya wapigaji kura ni concern kwa IBC katika eneo hili la Ugunja?
Sisi kama IBC ni furaha yetu ya kwamba kila watu wakitoka kupiga kura ni vizuri, kwa sababu ya kwanza tunajua ya kwamba ukipiga kura ni haki yako, na ndio unahakikisha ya kwamba umemchagua yule kiongozi unayemtaka. Pili ni kwamba hizi ni pesa za taxpayers. Tumearrange hili zoezi, na kwa hivyo ingekuwa vyema kusiwe na voter apathy. Watu watoke na wapige kura. Ndio itakuwa ni the best thing to do kama wananchi. Kwa sababu sote tunafahamu ya kwamba uandalizi huu haukufanywa tu hivi. Kwa hivyo itakuwa ni si raha tukiona pengine maandalizi yamefanywa na pengine voters ni kidogo. Lakini bado ni mapema, ni saa 3. Nina imani ya kwamba watu watatoka. Isipokuwa vile nimepata fursa kusimama hapa nikiongea katika mitandao, ndio nikasema afadhali nijulishe watu hususan Ugunja Primary kwamba mujitokeze tupige kura kwa wingi. Yes, asanteni sana. Mkuwe na siku njema.
All right, that brings us to the end of a Morning Cafe. But before we wrap it all up, we are bringing you a full, what is it called? Wall-to-wall coverage of the by-election. As you can see, Andrin Kilemi and I are marching on outfits as well. Like in Andrin, what should we expect from the Swahili team as we hand over?
Of course, a continuation of what the morning team did, kama kawaida kwa lugha ya Kiswahili, ambapo tunahakikisha kwamba matukio yote na matokeo tunawaletea watazamaji wetu kadri yanavyochipuka.
All right. And this is my official handover to you.
Unanipokeza vijembe.
Kabisa.
Asante sana. Mtazamaji,